Hello, Dum Dum. Guess who?
Hello, Dum Dum.
I love that. You see my stupid silhouette at the end of that?
I
It's
love
like, I don't
it.
know if that was that on purpose. Is that your filmmaking skills
Yes,
coming
I
into
put that in
play?
it. It's your show.
Oh my god, I can see my Ginzo Schnuzzola in the silhouette. He took my,
Please.
my my nose is a fucking eclipse. My nose is a Long Island eclipse. My
Yeah, well,
it,
you haven't seen
my social club
it's
Schnuzzola.
my Carl Malden nose.
No, I can tell through that mask you're wearing that
Yeah,
you have it.
okay.
Carl Malden.
Uh-huh. The streets
What?
of San Francisco nose.
There's no. How about my Karl Malone Schwanz?
I think you have something else in common with Carl Malone, but it's not a nose.
Elbows, elbows. I throw in
Oh,
the same
we'll
elbows he
go with
does.
that. Okay.
That's right.
Uh,
Welcome everyone. This is WINO Forever the Depping app, episode 88 or 89.
oh God.
Because we have the Patreon one, which certainly
This is
counts as
88, I believe.
and then the Tracy Jacobs one would be 89. So we're releasing one. Was it Monday for
Sunday.
Monday? Sunday for Monday or Sun?
No. I'm going to post it Sunday.
Oh, I thought it was going to be ready for people Monday morning because it's a good drive to work.
I could
So
post it doesn't matter. They can
doesn't
listen
matter.
to it Monday.
We're reenacting the rest of the Tracy Jacobs Depp's old agent transcript, and it is fascinating. Sarah, would you not agree? How the juicy shit coming out of the last one we just read.
It was a very good section of the deposition to read, and then there's 2 hours pre-game before that
What
we
do we
just
do?
shot
What do
the
we do
shit.
again before that?
Jennifer Grey stuff.
Yes.
What
So we
else?
read Jennifer Gray's book. I want to thank the great Lazarus and Johnny Bye Bye and everybody in the Wino Depping Thread and Radio Gunk. And I kind of just there was stuff I didn't even read the first time. Like for example, Jennifer Grey and Winona Ryder actually live in the same apartment complex, and Sean Penn leaves a horrible message on Jennifer Gray's answer machine. We pretty much deduced that Jennifer Grey was essentially used as a prostitute by Tracy Jacobs to land Depp in her agency.
Yes, and
Is how
I read this in a previous episode and failed miserably with my horrible reading out loud skills. So Arm took over and did a much better job and added a few things to it.
what are you talking about?
We've we read that before. I just did a horrible job reading it.
No, we did I mean, you were Jacobs and I was Ben Chu.
No, the Jennifer Grey book.
Oh, yeah. I just well, I kind of just like I was jumping around. I kind of read it on the fly. I didn't do Feeney. I was just trying to read it fast because I didn't know how much time we were spending on it. And I didn't know that it was going to be more expansive into the next chapter.
Mhm.
So we always talk about like, oh, what if Depp came out with a book? And this is like, I think this is the most autobiographical stuff I've ever seen on him from the late 80s.
Mhm.
Like expansive dirt, like the transfer of Tracy Jacobs was Jennifer Gray's agent first.
Yep.
That never comes up in all these years. I couldn't believe that we had to find that out from her book. And she has
Mhm.
I mean, she really slings the dirt in this. She just eviscerates Matthew Broderick,
Mhm.
and he basically cheated on her with Helen Hunt after he killed 2 people in Ireland,
Yeah,
and
no
then
kidding. What a
and Depp
downgrade.
and Depp was her became her what are they F the Broderick out of you or whatever
What?
the
Gross.
in the beginning of that. A Smith, thank you so much, sir, for the $2 super
As
sticker
usual.
as usual. The hell is he gonna say in the beginning of your intro, the public domain intro that you masterfully you and David threw together with David's uh, orchestral skills. It
Okay.
sounds like it could very well say in the beginning, it goes, A Smith, A Smith.
I'll
Because
overdub.
I was doing that while we were muted. So every time the broad, it's like I love these gigs they probably give this like public domain music. So they hire like singers to do this, I guess. And the chick
Well,
doing that harmony is going, A Smith.
I have to tell you, the song is called Born a Rock Star on YouTube. It's completely copyright free, but there is a lyrical version to this song. I chose the instrumental version. The lyrical version is so douche chill. It's like this Linkin Park wannabe dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Oh, it's horrible.
There's a lot of those, and I can't believe that what's his name, Chester Bennington.
Bennington. Hmm.
I can't. He's one of the like the lost deaths in pop rock. You know, you forget about that because he was like wingman to Chris Cornell.
Hmm. Very sad.
But I remember, you know, and then I guess I'm slightly long in the tooth to be a Linkin Park fan, but I remember when they came out and they were really probably the last kind of period where you could come out with rock music and still have it a hit on the radio.
Hmm.
And they had several, and it was a combination of they were trying to the digitize sound, and it was like rap and rock. I guess it's
Yeah.
somewhat. Um, but I
Um,
didn't realize he was close with Cornell. That's a strange bedfellows.
yeah, I think they're almost best friends. But David made a comment that he cracks up every time Depp does the DMVI test in the
Yeah,
intro.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm looking for a better photo shoot that he
You got
did, a
you've seen
video
David,
version.
right? You've seen David in his
Yeah.
okay. You got to see the guy playing keyboard in the Depp Beck band on the in the Tri-State tour. It's I thought it was David. I like my heart stopped. I'm going that what is he? This is like his little hidden secret. It's
Something,
crazy.
yeah.
They would be lucky to have David in that
Well, he
band.
did play at the Viper
Lucky.
Room, so he
I'm
must
more
have.
inclined to play to see David play than I would Jeff Beck. What do you think about that?
You're gonna get the shit in the comments.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. My friend, by the way, Elron, my friend Mike Ravatzis, which I forgot, is he's actually in a U2 tribute band. So if he can take on the Edge, he can take on Jeff Beck. I might add,
Do you know Joe
right?
Kumuya is also in a U2
I
tribute
know, I
band,
know, it's crazy. I
and
know.
it's called To You.
He's out of San Diego.
Well, and I'm sure their version is much better.
It's good. It's really he sent me like a whole concert playlist. It was great, and you know he writes his own shit. But he's a Um, it's quite it takes a set of balls to cover you too because you're gonna get destroyed if you don't get it right.
Yeah. A.
Yeah.
Smith, thank you again. We appreciate it.
John O'Reilly and arms strolling the streets with speaking of the streets of Manhattan with Depp. Yeah, Depp is so now on his tri-state tour. So it's Westchester, Red Bank, New Jersey, home of Kevin Smith, I might add, and Depp and Lily Rose Depp and Harley Quinn Smith are best friends, which is kind of interesting. See, I would have thought Kevin Smith would kind of come out for that tour.
Hmm.
Red Bank, New Jersey. The Count Basie Theater, is that the thing? And then Manhattan and then Huntington, Long Island, of course. For Tusha, Huntington is tonight and tomorrow. We're
You're
doing
there,
this.
right?
We're competing against. We should. I know that'd be great if we could broadcast from
Oh my
the hunting
God.
from the. That'd be great. That
I
would be
need
great.
I need you to hold up your
There's,
phone and capture Hedy Lamarr live.
there's so many. I was watching those videos, and there's so many ways now you can accost and ambush these performers. Like with today's technology, you know every back entrance, you know every way to get it, you know every. They can't hide at all. There's no such thing as a secret entrance anymore.
Yeah. I was watching some of his live videos from this little tour, this little jaunt. You know what annoys me in my old age now that never used to before? Woo. The constant woos from the
Woo! Yeah.
girls. Woo! Woo! What who the fuck thought of that,
If
first
you're
of
gonna
all?
spend all day posing and being this fake fan, come up with a decent question. If you're gonna sit there for 12 hours, come up with a fucking original question to ask him.
You
One
want them
question.
to ask
Look, he's
questions from the
talking to
crowd?
you. He's talking. He's coming around signing autographs. Come up with an interesting
Oh, yeah, yeah.
question. Do you have anything to say? You're not fans. You have nothing unique.
Johnny,
Get something out of him. You got
Johnny,
him
we
right
love you.
there. Oh, it's the word. Oh, it's exact. No, you're not exact. That's exactly all that
I
is.
know.
Can you think of anything else to say that much of a you know that when I mean broads, you look really your gender gets looks horrible in those situations. I hate to say it. You really do. You really got to fucking do something cerebral,
Yeah.
creative.
Well, I
Wow.
gotta tell you, I had a crush on Nikki Sixx in the early 2000s. I know I'm like 20 years too late with that, but he walked by me outside the Rose
Oh
Garden,
yeah, well, Melvin
outside
had
of
a
Crew
crush on
Fest.
Nikki Cox in the early
That's
2000s.
disgusting. How dare you? I'm the one. I'm the only one as a woman. I can swoon over men. You're not allowed to swoon over women on this podcast.
I said Melvin.
You said Nikki
I
Cox.
said Melvin swooned over Nikki Cox, and
Oh, my
you're
apologies. I was talking and you interrupted.
he was on the Norm. She was on the Norm show, by the way, with Artie.
I know she's deformed. Anyway,
She looked great back then, and now she destroyed herself.
of course, Jay Moore does that to you.
It's-
What was I
she
gonna
got more.
say? Nikki Six walks by me. He's in those heel boots, right? So for a second, I was like, "What? What? That's Nikki Six," and he's surrounded by bodyguards. He's shorter than me, first of all, which frightens
Oh
me.
no,
And his IMDb is not correct, and neither is his Wikipedia. It says
Nikki
he's like
5'6".
5'8". I'm 5'4". That's all I'm gonna say.
Has that
Um,
has that joke ever been levied? Nikki 5'6".
oh my God,
I mean,
that's not bad.
it's not bad, right? It
That's not bad
sounds
for
like
you.
it should be corny enough for me.
Just kidding.
Who am I, Jackie Martling over here?
But I stood there literally with my mouth agape. It worked then. I had a tongue that worked, and I could have spoken. But I get the moment, but you're prepared when Johnny Depp is going to be coming out. So you've been standing there, like you said, you've been standing there.
12 hours.
Think of two questions that you can
Something
easily reference
and
that have
something that
nothing to
might.
do with Amber Heard or the trial.
And I don't even care if you're trying to get famous off it or you're trying to get likes or viral, whatever. Some crazy question he might answer might go viral. Ask him something, even if it's an Amber Heard question. Like a specific, I mean, that's all they know, right? I mean, that's the only thing. I don't care what it like. There's this guy in one of the videos I found. I mean, it's a dopey question. It's a kind of bunch of dunderheads. But he asks him a pirates question, and as stupid as it is, at least it elicits a comment from him about Disney. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's not that bad.
Mm-hmm. That was for NA. He just
Sue
insulted me.
Monster, welcome, Sue Monster. Thank you for all your kindness and all your benevolence and generosity in the chat and otherwise, and super sticker wise. And Gunga Din, welcome. Texaho, welcome. You know what, Texaho, I didn't say it. I didn't say the M word, but actually, Lou, I directed that towards millennials. Okay, you just pretend that everything I just said was directed towards millennials, if that makes you feel good. Yeah,
That
my
does.
friends bailed on the Greek Fest tonight. I was wondering what to do now. Chop it up, my fellow winos. Glad
Well,
to have you,
we're
Texaho.
going to be here most Fridays unless there's an emergency. So, John
Uh,
O'Reilly, thank you for the 9.99. Love
what did
you.
we
NA
say?
NA
We gave it.
insulted me, so he's on my list.
Didn't I give a nice homage to John O'Reilly during the Tracy Jacobs about
Yeah,
the
I think so. It's a
legalese?
blur.
Yeah, it was something I remember. No, talk about how he guided us effortlessly and not and with not a shred of pomposity through the legalese stuff. You know, he could be so he could and patient with our legalese novice just trying to get a hold of it. And you know he was there virtually every day, and then to always have a Costco joke after it is something
I'm
that
so hungry. Now I'm thinking about Costco.
no civilian could pull off on a regular basis. He's,
NA says I should hold up a sign that just says, mm-hmm.
look at what David said about Carl Malden.
I know, I saw.
Baby said
I saw
Carl
that
Malden.
20 minutes ago when he posted
Okay,
it.
okay. Carl Malden, you got the hat tilted at the jointy angle, also, Sarah. Pellel, welcome, Sarah. Hey, Pellel, I was wondering if I know you probably don't like to go on these things. I almost did something. See, tonight was supposed to be, um, originally for 3 days, I'd known about Johnny Depp. Speaking of New York City, Manhattan, John O'Reilly is at the series. Johnny Depp did more radio than Howard did this week. And Howard always, in the years, he's never been able to get him on live. Yet another time. I mean, when you're on vacation 80% of the time, chances are you're not going to be available, right, for anybody. So Depp was at the Sirius studios. He did a town hall with Stephen Van Zandt,
Ugh.
from the Springsteen band, and Beck was with him. And so from what I gather, it's like an hour and change interview. For some reason they recorded it, and it isn't going to be released until a week and a half from now. So I saw this being, they had pictures of him all over, not, kind of circulating. So I'm like, okay, they just recorded it, and certainly it'll just be on. No, they're sitting on it.
Yeah. I saw a tweet by Stephen Van Zant's, I think, wife. Yeah, she
Okay.
said they would put it on their website within 2 weeks. So I don't know what the holdup is.
So my plan, as I said to you 2 days ago, okay, we'll just break down the whole interview. I'll play the whole thing. I'll screen record it that from the audio, and we'll break down the whole thing and go over it, and it'll be a nice, easy lifting because it's just one straight through. I'm sitting and looking. I'm hitting refresh. I'm hitting refresh. I go to Sirius. I'm googling his name. I go into the Sirius thing. I put the search down for his name. Like motherfucker. Oh God, Melvin, you should have heard the anger when it wasn't. And then I found out that they're sitting on it for no reason at all. What are they waiting for? Halloween? Is that some stupid Halloween
I don't
promotion?
know.
Why sit on it? Why?
Have they ever done that before that you know of?
Yeah, I've heard stories about them filming like a town hall and not coming out with it.
They put
You remember
Beth's town hall up immediately, and I think
Monique
the
was at that?
the only people that listened to it were from Radio Gunk.
Did you hear Monique ask a question to
No,
Whitney Cummings and Beth?
I'm sure at the time
Yeah,
I listened
I
to
don't.
it. I
Yeah,
don't
I can't
remember
believe
it.
people don't know that. Yeah, that's right. I see. Monique probably could have got a fucking ticket to this
Mhm.
if we knew about it in advance.
Oh well, life happens. It sucks.
You do not, my dear. You do
Well,
not.
not with this tongue.
Melvin just perked up. Poor old Chester Bennington, says Benton, took the chalice of no hope by replacing Scott Whalen in the Stone. Did he really?
A lot of people took a lot of places of dead rock stars
Yeah,
in
yeah,
side
yeah.
project bands for a while.
It's such a thankless. Who's the only like Sammy Hagar is like the only one that's like truly pull it off where you were almost like, oh, I don't know, maybe I like him better than David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big Gary Sharon broad.
No. Good try though.
Haha, David goes, I get confused with the less haggard George Harrison on the keyboards. I can't wait for you to see this guy, David. Yeah, woo is such a Ric Flair thing, right? Every time someone says that, Ric Flair should get $50. I agree, Pele. So Pele, so what I was gonna say is, so my second choice was I'm kind of in the shower and I'm like, fuck, what do we do today? I was always gonna cancel it because I just not that I can't just bullshit for a few hours. I wanted some kind of
You can do a
structure.
chat show for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's true. I wanted some kind of structure because his career is so vast and there's so many angles you can go. There's almost no excuse to have some time. And I've had so many things written down that we just didn't get to. So I decided we've had this written down. It's one of those things, back burner stuff, to reenact the Playboy interview from 19. It's a really good interview and it tells kind of the first half of his career. And there's a lot of Viper Room stuff, and that's I really we've been meaning to do that for a while. So it was kind of a backup plan. But I was going to do this, Pella. I was going to do, and you are more than welcome to sit in. And any comic heads like a Rodney or someone, we're going to do a show where it's Depp and the Marvel and DC cinematic universes and all the roles he should play, never played, almost got, was rumored for. And I'm just kind of juxtapose him in all these different roles. I mean, it is everything from Corsair, who's Cyclops' father in the X-Men, to Bruce Banner in the late '90s, to Spider-Man in the early '90s when James Cameron was ruined to do a Spider-Man movie, to Lex Luthor, to Joker, to Riddler, to Nightwing slash Robin, Dick Grayson when Tim Burton had the Batman rights. It's endless. Ghost Rider, Tony Stark. It's you name it. If it's not like an alpha male hero, he's rumored to do it.
Mhm.
But
Oh, sorry.
Doctor Strange, he would have been perfect for, right?
That's a little over my head with your comic knowledge there. So I recognized a few names. I'll say yes.
Well, that's why you and I doing it together,
Mhm.
we need some third person to bet that's a real nerd.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
mean that in the best possible way.
Or just the other person in
You
you.
have you have an above average knowledge of it for abroad, but you need someone who like knows who Corsair is and
I
Ghost
have no
Rider
clue
and
who that is. So yes, that's a good idea.
Nicolas Cage ended up doing Ghost, as you know, doing
Great.
Ghost Rider,
So
Speed
frightening.
Racer. Not that it's a comic, but um,
I'm gonna
he
skip
actually the
ahead.
only comic book movie he's done, and it ties into tonight is From Hell, which is a graphic novel from Alan Moore, which they adapted, and it's technically a comic book. You know From Hell, right, Sarah? That's when he did Howard. That was the thing he promoted, the
Yes, I
Hughes
do.
Brothers movie. Okay. Sarah would be holding up a sign that says, mm.
I don't think NA likes me, but I love NA, so
Why doesn't he
it's
like you?
I don't know, it's a struggle.
Well, NA is a Depp contrarian. You know that, right?
I know.
So I don't think he likes your fangirldom. I
I'm
think
not a
he.
fangirl. Certain situations, I pick him because he's hot.
Well, you push back more than most Deptford wives do.
Yeah, I mean, I want to skip real quick. I apologize. Melvin, Sarah, did you see that JD shaved his
Yeah.
face and is clean shaven now? Yes, I did, and I am not a fan.
John O'Reilly, thank you again, sir. He writes, big news when Amber met Arm. The deep dive at the Freeport Motor Inn and Botel, pre-sale now at Amazon. Arm, more tasty than a Kirkland.
I'm so hungry.
Hey, John, is there a Costco in Freeport or is it a BJ's? Isn't there a BJ's? Like as soon as you get off the what parkway is that? Not the. Oh crap! Oh, what is that road? It's off. I haven't been
Nobody
there in a while.
knows except you and John.
Yeah, Nikki Cox dated Bob. Yeah, Bobcat
Oh
Goldwyn.
yeah,
How did
that's
I mean
true.
that's the weirdest relationship in the history of show business. It's right up there with Rose McGowan and Al Pacino. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, Sarah?
I do remember the era. Yes, I'm old enough to remember the era.
Do you remember? Are you old enough to remember when Bobcat was a very regular Howard guest?
I am old enough to have gone to the movie theater and watched Bobcat in Police Academy movies. So yes, I did hear him on Howard.
Do you remember what the falling out was over? One of the things the falling out was over.
Oh my God, Kurt Cobain.
Yes. How did you know that?
Because I told you I listened to it, and you don't
Holy
believe me,
shit,
so you had
that's
to test
great.
me, and I
No, no,
passed.
no, no, no. I'm not. I knew you. That's. I can't believe you know that. You know, Bobcat opened for Nirvana. Am I? Do I have that right? In the
Bobcat
early.
Goldthwait, I can never say that last name, had a
Nobody can.
passing conversation with Kurt Cobain once, so that made them best friends.
Okay, but he was
That was
speak.
that relationship.
He was speaking for Cobain during the Howard interview.
I
Like
know
he was
that's
his spokesman.
disgusting. Mhm.
That's what I remember, and it's been years since I heard it. But I
Yeah.
just remember being like half asleep, and Bobcat's going. He's like, "Eh, Kurt's never gonna," and he's like talking, and he's like, "Kurt's never gonna do this. Kurt's never gonna do that." And I'm going, "What the fuck?" So I got the impression that he opened for him.
Yeah, he did a stand-up set once during a tour.
Okay, that's so. Did Cobain choose Bobcat, or
Well,
was he chosen for him?
he must have had at that point, I think they were, big enough where they could choose their opening act, so I'm sure he did.
Name the Depp movie that Bobcat Goldthwait was in.
I can't off the top of my head.
Isn't it great? We can tie everything into Depp all the time.
That's the
There's
point.
nothing we can't tie him. There's nothing we can't do. Um, I'll
What
see if I
movie?
can give you
Y
how
What
does the
movie?
line. I'm trying to think of how the line goes.
Oh gosh.
I, I can't feel my face.
I don't know.
Blow.
Oh, okay, makes sense. All right. I
So he
apologize.
goes in to sell this huge stash of cocaine with um Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman playing Derek for real, and Bobcat is a like just a like the next rung. I don't know what he's just a mogul in Hollywood, and he's at some party, and they snort lines together. I
I
can't feel my
totally
face.
see that, and I would bet you that it was real.
I think they made a rap song off that line too. Checking in, checking out. Oh, wild.
I hate to do this. I'm skipping ahead again. We have made amends. Sarah might not think it, but her voice is one of the best I have ever heard. I don't agree with that. And
Yeah, you're
I
a cross between Natalie Maines and um God damn, I can't think of her name.
uh, the Trump
Yeah,
warrior.
The Trump Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney.
Yeah, the broad trying to run for
Natalie
president.
Cheney. So we're gonna call you Natalie Cheney from now on.
Okay, that's fine.
She's got that strong, firm, and you're never too excited, and you're even keeled, and you're always doing the right thing and saying the right thing.
There is an
And
hour out of the day when I first get up, maybe 20 minutes after I get up, where I am excited, rearing to go for the day, thrilled at what the day may bring. This point in the day, I've been up since 3 a.m. I'm like, all right, you lead the way on this show, Mr. Arm. You can handle it.
I don't feel like you need to be up at 3.
I do. I work at 6.
But aren't you like 2 minutes away from work? Why do you need to be
I
up
get there at
3
5:30 because
for
I have
work?
to do stuff to even prepare to start the day at work. So I get there. I work from 5:30 to 4:30.
Okay. I just think you like saying that you got up earlier than everybody else.
Well, I do. I love the morning.
Yeah, well, I think you like saying that you have one up on everyone when you say you got up earlier than.
Maybe.
Ben says, Ben4810 says, SiriusXM, they're paying little Steven Van Zandt millions of dollars to air his underground garage radio channels under Sirius.
Oh.
What the fuck? Ben, I remember that that Steven Van Zandt, that channel has been around since I've known about Sirius. And again, I have to agree with you in the sense that how much money does that truly generate for that channel that they could afford? They're such star fuckers. They love the names. They love if they're not just
Well,
hemorrhaging money on Howard's
we know
horse
by
shit.
this point, almost 20 years later, they don't do contracts very well. We
No,
learned that 20 years ago.
the worst run company on the face of the planet. If Howard's deal with the devil doesn't tell you how badly run they are,
Hmm.
it's Mr. Silent Partner. I'm surprised he doesn't have Van Zant fired.
I wouldn't be
That'll be the next to
surprised.
go. Yeah,
Maybe this is the reason his wife tweeted that it would be 2 weeks.
well, it's funny. They have a Springsteen channel too. So
Oh
you have
God, I
two.
know.
Remember the E Street Band?
I
It's
know.
very, very, very. I'm imagining these serious founders are huge, and who's not. By the way, you know who runs Sirius LA, right?
Remind me.
Zoss Rapin,
Oh, does he
Springsteen
really?
groupie. Yeah, Springsteen groupie. So
Ew.
that's always going to be. They're always going to be like the flagship kind of. It's very safe too. I mean, who doesn't like Springsteen's not. I'm not saying he's beloved, but it's enough where he hits all these different demographics. It's a very, very safe channel to play, and it's such a vast playlist and so many live shows that are recorded and stuff. But Ben's right. I don't know how you could qualify paying Steven Van Zandt what they do if that's true for that channel. How much that really generates? That people are subscribing to Sirius to listen to that. I
Yeah.
think I've actually seen it on Twitter today in the last 3 days. Depp actually has people subscribing to Sirius to hear this interview. He actually generates more subscribers than Howard does.
Mhm.
Howard has people canceling in droves on a daily basis. Depp has people subscribing to Sirius to hear one interview with him and
Yeah,
Stephen Van
John
Zandt.
O'Reilly says bad breath Ross. I was having the thought just now.
Shit
Heather
breath, yeah,
Clem slept with Ross, or the rumor is, I'll say,
yeah,
Bubba filmed Heather Clem, his ex-wife, with Ross.
yep.
Can you imagine Heather Clem having to suck that bad breath out of Ross's mouth?
Gunga Din goes, Depp would make a great Joker. He sure would. If you hear his laugh in Black Mass, Gunga Din as Whitey Bulger when they had doing that scene at the
Glorious.
it's like a Joker laugh, as good as anything I've heard. Because you just know that he could channel that the whole time. Word of the day, says Texas host Scrum, the best comic movie with Ghost World. That's right.
Oh, I have an announcement for
Isn't
Hooper.
Scarlett Tone Cot, welcome. Isn't Scarlett Johansson in that Tone Cot
No,
before she was famous?
Hooper.
Ghost World.
Let's just a second. I'm going to forget. Hooper, I've been watching baseball. I blame you. That's it.
Why? He's your motivation for watching a 4 hour
No, but in one of the
Mariners
chats, I,
Astros
I was
game?
double, I was triple thinking my opinion on whether baseball was boring. As a maniacal Browns fan, I decided to check out the Guardians because the Browns are disappointing me right now. So I checked out the Guardians and I got into it.
Well, I think I said it.
Playoff bandwagon Sara.
They they have 1/3 the payroll as the Yankees.
And that's why I like them. I like the smaller market teams that don't get, the respect or the credit by
Well,
whatever league they're in that they deserve.
well,
Hence,
it's like
Portland
having a
Trailblazers.
movie award, right? It's having a special effects award for a movie that has 3 times the budget as another movie, and they're in the same
Hmm.
category. That's
Exactly.
how unfair it is.
And if you can
And
beat any New York team, especially a team like the Yankees, Please
Boy, they're
do.
really hated now. They're really, really. Oh, I got this one too, and I don't want to stay on people.
I know we need to move on.
How do I have two questions for you, seam heads? How do the Yankees not have a fucking retractable roof on the most expensive franchise in the history? How do they not have a retractable roof? They had a rainout the other day in fucking October, and they're moving games to the day. There is no excuse. That effing franchise, how they print money, Sarah. Do you know how much they charge for the concession stand? I have a
I
theory. I
can
have a
imagine.
conspiracy theory. When there's a rainout, they like the rainout because they double dip the fans from coming back and paying for parking again and come. And so when it rains, let's say you waste another hour and a half. Right? What do the fans do during the rain out? They
I don't
go
know.
down and spend money in the fucking concession
Oh,
stand.
there you
They
go.
like rain outs. They want the rain. I'm firmly convinced of that. They
Mm-hmm.
want. There's no. You know how many stupid little franchises around baseball and football have domes? For years. This team can't. I don't buy it for a second. It is crazy. I read something like, "Oh, they're saving 180 million." Who get you? They fucking make 180 million in 2 innings on fucking soft pretzels and $18 Rolling Rocks, as Artie Lang would say.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's more than that. I bet it's 25 bucks for a beer now. Oh, fuck them. There's
Easily.
no way they can't have a retractable roof. All in New York.
You know
Fuck you,
why?
New York sports.
There's one reason this goes back to Opie and Anthony. There's one reason I can't stand the Yankees. There was a Yankee fanboy song written by Todd Pettengill, who I called Todd Massengill, but it goes, New York Yankees, let's go
I've heard that.
Yankees,
I've heard that.
we're gonna win
Shocktober.
it for George Steinbrenner. I wanna shoot
keep,
him.
keep going.
No, no, I'm done. That's the best you're gonna get.
Is John O'Reilly really going to the show tomorrow night? I'm seeing Depp and Beck Huntington
I
Hall
don't
tomorrow
know.
night after the Oyster Fest, and that's in Oyster Bay. Is that the
Oh,
Jackie
perfect.
Martling? You
Yes.
love that? Is that fucking Bayville and
I want to go to
Oyster Bay?
Oyster Fest, watch Big Orange Marble perform, and suck down raw oysters for 3 hours. That's my heaven.
If John O'Reilly, if this is true, and I believe him, if he's any way, there's no way they're taking your phone at the door, right? Isn't they're not doing that.
No, you see phones
There's people
propped
recording
up
stuff all
video,
over the
taking
place.
video of him.
Please, John, get whatever you can.
Yeah.
Southern State Parkway and BJ's in Freeport. I'm trying to remember. Is off something else? Yes, he's right though. Sarah might not think her voice. Okay, we said that. Tone Cot. Private Resort Tone Cot. Yes. Okay, that's his first. Okay, well, back to Bobcat
Yeah.
Gold.
Depp's
They
hairy
got it.
butt.
They got it. I'm sorry, Gungadin and Melvin. You got it.
I
Blow.
know they
Yes.
did way before I
Yes.
did.
I'm just curious.
Affy says, I want to see Sarah drunk on the jetty. If that happened,
Columbia.
remember that people remember that story
Where?
about Nancy laying out on the beach drunk after a wedding, I think maybe
Yes.
John's, where she was laying with her legs spread out in the sand. That's what I picture myself, just drunk off my ass, totally out, my everything showing. That's why I don't drink.
David's got a great idea for that. So that's your sole connection to drinking. You're traumatized by Nancy fucking Sirianni in Bayville,
Well, yeah,
and
I don't like drunk women. It's gross.
I don't believe she is. I believe it was probably a lot more fun than I believe. All of that's hyperbole and completely exaggerated. And I believe, and Jackie always shoots it down. I believe that none of this really happened, as they say, as Howard would say. I don't believe
Yeah.
if it's as told by Howard, it is a lie or a ridiculous hyperbole. And Gary will back up. Gary will actually add to the lie.
Of
Gary loves
course. He's
everyone's
got
out of
to
control.
suck on the rectum of his boff.
Yeah. Davey goes, I want to do a show where the chat submits showbiz names and titles, and we tie it into Depp and six connections.
Oh God.
Yeah, the Depp, the Kevin,
ARMy could do that.
the Deppy Bacon game, easily can do it. I mean, he's been around so long now that there's almost no name. That was another show we were gonna do. Is all the actors we wish he's worked with, like he hasn't worked with yet, and do like a kind of a wish list.
Mhm.
Either just someone to co-star with. Uh, that Cape Trustee. Love you guys, Sarah mostly. LOL.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite
Agreed.
chat of the night. You win.
You and your fans, you and your crazy.
Yeah.
She's a Sara head.
Sweetie, I know
Self-indulgent.
why people are here. They're here for the Arm and Hammer.
Sirius XM is owned by Liberty Media. They own the Atlanta Braves. Holy shit. At least the Braves produce their contracts. The Braves are always have some controversial ownership, from Ted Turner to this. There's always some weird biased with the Braves, and it was so crazy. Like, if you were a kid in the '80s, TBS, like, you got to
Oh
watch the
God.
Braves. a
Yes.
hundred and I'm not sure if all 162 were on TBS, but it was close.
Yes. I still remember Jane Fonda and Ted Turner sitting front row behind the home plate.
He owned the Hawks at the same time
Yeah.
too.
And who else?
The Hawks had half.
The
So
Hawk? Yeah.
as a kid, as an NBA just fucking hoop head, psychotic. I mean, I was the most psychotic OCD hoop head NBA fan you could be as a kid,
Do you
and as a
remember?
teenager through. And the way I satiated myself with no NBA league pass yet was, you
Hmm.
got to see I guess in New York, you could watch the Knicks and the Nets all 82 games, but you got to see the Hawks because they were on TBS, and
Hmm.
half their schedule was on TBS, and that was a
Yeah.
fun. They were way better than the Knicks or the Nets. It was a way better
Well,
watch.
TBS was way better than
It's a great channel.
WGN. That in the mornings was Bozo the Clown out of Chicago and Bulls games at night. That was all
Oh, you
WGN
you had
was.
that you had that Bulls.
Yes.
Oh God, I would see that in the TV guide, and I'm like, it just wasn't offered on Long Island.
Oh
So
my
it was a
God.
Chicago superstation.
As a
We didn't
Blazer
get it.
fan in the early 90s, do you know how a kick in the balls watching Bulls games was? Bulls games were on more than Blazer games were on in Oregon.
Well, you said that the Blazers are on network
Yeah, we had
TV on CBS.
the CBS affiliate in Oregon is Coin TV, and every Blazer game you just go to channel 6 and it would be on.
That's crazy. That's so
Oh,
crazy to
heaven.
me.
You can't get a Blazer game here now. They have this
On lo
weird I know everybody, I'm sorry, we'll move along. But they have this weird contract with Root Sports Northwest out of Seattle that you're lucky. You it's not available anywhere except DirecTV. I will not get that. But yeah, if you don't want it on DirecTV, you got to pay like $50. I'm not doing that.
Inexcusable. What I would say to Jody Allen, and I would say, you're gonna lose generations of
She
fans
doesn't
that
care. She
can't
doesn't even
watch it
understand.
easily.
She owns
I
the
would
Seahawks and the Blazers. She doesn't even understand the sport.
Inexcusable.
Yeah.
Inexcusable. This is where there's gonna be a lockout, I'm telling you. They don't know. They just keep trying to rape the fans with awful, like, as a consumer advocate, it's the worst thing you can do. They're gonna alienate fans to the point. I'm telling you, and I'm doing an NBA fantasy league this year, not under protest, but I was circumspect, and I didn't do it last year because the season started with like 50 superstar injuries and load management and weird contract holdouts and COVID. I'm like, this can't work. This can't work. And I was right, because by the end of the year, and I say to this day, last NBA season is the worst NBA season I've ever seen in my entire NBA life,
Hmm.
in terms of just as a for from a fan standpoint, and result, and who sat out, and as a product, as an overall it was the
Yep.
worst season they've ever put out, and I don't think it's close.
Agreed. All right, let's get off sports. People are complaining.
Are they complaining? I don't know.
Texas host complaining, which I understand. Rick Adelman made the Blazers and the Kings relevant. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Agreed. A local man here from Salem, Oregon. Rick Adelman. Thank you,
Okay,
everybody.
let's go to the first thing. Oyster Fest is in Oyster Bay. Yes, thank
Hmm.
you, John. That's exactly. We should go. John should go to Bayville and do a Jackie tour. I feel like Sarah's more of a potion drinker than an alcohol drink.
What is it? What's the potion drinker? I don't know.
Sarah's in the yummy phase. Na. Sarah likes things that are yummy, and so
Tease.
alcohol is things. Alcohol is construed to her as things that is not yummy. It's got the bitter. It's an acquired taste, and you just like sweets. And so when someone's like too into the yummy phase, they're not big alcohol drinkers, I find.
You know it's disgusting, and I just realized I would love it. If they made a Reese's peanut butter cup tea, I would devour it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's has not been coined yet.
Actually, I think
I've been
about it, it's
screaming.
disgusting, but I would definitely, I would love it.
I've been screaming for years that there should be how is there not a banana Gatorade? or banana
I'm not big
Powerade or
on
banana
Gatorade.
Gatorade. Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
how come banana is not one of the staple flavors they don't use?
I don't know.
What is that? It's a
Hmm.
huge, huge. I mean, isn't it like the biggest fruit besides Richard
I
Simmons?
think you are.
Mark Harris.
All right,
Got
let's
it.
get on. We got a lot to do.
All right, so let's go to Depp's. Speaking of John O'Reilly and the Depp Beck show, this is Depp in the tri-state area. I found him coming out of a Italian restaurant in. I mean, it could have been Hoboken. I mean, it's Red Bank, New Jersey's where the. I don't know that. I don't know how close that is to Red Bank to Hoboken or whatever. So this is some of the stuff we've seen in the last few days of Depp in and around the tri-state area. The title of this folder is Playboy Friday. That's how I found
Okay.
stupid. Okay, so this is Depp. I'm gonna say
I wish he
it's
was in Playgirl at one point. Ooh.
okay. This is Depp coming out of an Italian restaurant with his security. He's got a new security guy, by the way, who looks like he's like right at a UFC fucking central casting. He's got the Under Armour black shirt on, and he's got the swarthy look, but he looks like a vintage UFC fighter, right? I mean, like,
Mm.
and he's hovering around, and all these clips of he's around him and all the New York stuff. Maybe he's like New York security.
He knows, he knows. There's only a couple of us.
So Sean Bet.
Okay, on Depp's left, you see the guy? Our right, Depp's left. That's the new. Maybe Sean Bett found him. He's a new part of the security. He looks like like
I
a small badass, like a lot packing in that.
and
He's like a.
and he says, "Is the new security guard named Rob?" Oh my
Great
God.
callback to the Tubi movie. If anyone doesn't know, that's
Philly
what they said.
29 again. I had to interrupt.
Okay.
49.99.
Thank you, Philly. Feel free to have anything asked,
Yes, please.
asked and answered. Speaking of Rob. Okay, so this is
I would comb.
either
I'm going to call him Rob. And that's in it's a reference to our Patreon episode, which I'm so proud of. So please go check that out if you haven't. I would comb Rob's beard.
you would call.
I would comb it.
Well, we were talking about. I think it was during the Jacobs thing where it was such. He's the magical Negro in the. So they blackwash this guy in front of the doorway is Depp security. In the Tubi movie, they blackwashed him and they made him into a guy who doesn't exist. His name is just Rob. Depp has a black security, Starling Jenkins. So why they didn't use him, I have no idea. And it was just this stupid attempt at, and it was kind of patronizing and condescending the way they try to make him, and it was almost like I think on the Jacobs thing we talked about how it was almost like you got the impression that they were going to go to the thing going, you did real good in that trial, Mr. Johnny. And it was going to be that sort of Bojangles kind of stereotypical bullshit. It really was like, I find it more racist for blackwashing it because it was so patronized. It was so forced. And the black community can see through that. I truly believe that.
Yeah. And we talk about it a little bit in the Tracy Jacobs episode 2 that we're going to put out this weekend. But there's his big scene, his big moment is in the back of the SUV after a day of court. And Depp goes, "Why don't you go spend some time on the island while I still have it?"
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea, Mr. Johnny.
Oh. Anyway, yeah. Go watch that episode. 3 hours about Tubi.
You a smart man, Mr. Johnny. That's by the way, look at the chick on the right. Does that not look like Rosie Perez?
Oh my God.
From
21 Jump Street.
White Men Can't Jump. Actually, she was on Jump Street. Yes, Sarah.
Yeah.
Or whichever, like a late 20s Rosie Perez.
He knows, he knows. There's only a couple of us.
That's a man.
So this place is Augustino's in New. If anyone wants to look it up,
that Rosie Perez is a man, by the way.
It is. Oh, okay, yeah. okay.
I hate this look.
How's life, Depp?
All's well, man.
Welcome back home. You know New York City's always your home, brother.
Thank you, man.
No, it's not. Salem is his home.
look behind Depp. So the owner of the restaurant comes out. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And he makes him give him a plug here.
What's going on here?
Hood got a lot of love for you, man.
Been a
Definitely.
while.
Telling you, bro. I know you remember me.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen you since Letterman, man. Back in
Way
the
to
day.
get into the shot.
You hear what the guy said to him? I guess he thinks he's like a paparazzi. He said, "I know." He goes, "Do you remember me? You remember me from Letterman?" So I guess he kind of goes to every talk show and waits outside because do you
Oh,
remember me
Lord.
from Letterman?
This is the guy that brings the binder. He brings the binder of random celebrity photos with him
Is that
and a
Pop's
Sharpie.
official? Pap's official
Yeah.
wavy pot.
Oh, believe me,
We got you. We got the name of the restaurant.
You gotta make sure you get it.
We got it. We got it.
Exactly.
We got it.
You're right.
Promo all day.
I'm definitely
Back in
coming
there,
to
you'll fart.
eat one day.
Man, it's a good joint.
I love Italian food.
Oh.
My favorite.
They're real sweet, man.
We're
Earn
gonna
that
get
free
another
check,
Pirates
Johnny.
of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's a good question.
He's signing.
That's right. You don't gotta answer it. Pirates of the
Okay, so he asked him the Pirates question. Like Depp handles it like he so wants to give him an answer, and even if he's holding back, John O'Reilly says, "I'm going to record sound, but it's impossible to video." Yeah, John, don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. I will. Somebody will get it. Don't worry about it. Honestly, it's not worth it.
Just
They wanna-
record when Depp from the stage shouts out, "Listen to the Deeppening podcast." Just record that part, and I'll put that in the intro.
Affy goes, "If there weren't any drunk women, how the hell would we get laid?" That's a good point,
Oh,
Affy.
Affy.
That's a good point. It's usually the fuel. It's done very,
Sounding like
very,
Bill
very good
Cosby
things.
up in the chat.
Well, Depp roofied Ellen Barkin, apparently.
Oh,
Not
sure.
apparently. That was proven. He gave her
Please.
fucking quaaludes. Ellen Barkin, for Christ's sake.
Oh, please.
He's just a jealous man. It's
Uh-huh.
just we had intercourse.
And you're a bitter, dried up old hag now who ran out of billionaires to milk out of
She's it.
alimony.
She's the in between from Kate Moss to Vanessa Paradis.
Yeah, she's the bridge broad.
Whose fortune did she get again?
I forget his name, but she married, I think, a billionaire for like a year, and they were in court because she wanted his money.
I'm
I
trying to
think he
remember.
won.
It's someone we know. I know it's. Was it a? God, it's someone we know. I know it's someone we know. Potion Phase drinking a Starbucks meets the Mets Saloon. Hoboken is where Case and Chaplin got married. That's exactly right, David. Hoboken. Crazy Robin, welcome.
Mhm.
Thanks again, Philly 29.
I'm still
Again,
a Philly
feel
fan.
free. So you're rooting for the
I'll root for
Phillies.
whoever super chats. I root for their team.
Sara, you need to try twinning salted caramel
Oh,
green tea bags.
but Ben,
As
does the
near as you'll
green
get
tea
there.
leave like a bitterness to that?
That's a good question.
I'm a little, yeah.
I
Let me
believe
know.
Ben's taste. I believe him.
I do too, but
David
I need to know. I
Hackettstown.
need to know. I'm poor,
Arm,
so
the new Gatorade spokesman for banana flavor. Leo the
see
Lion.
the only
Ben
good
Ben.
Gatorade to me, and it's like you put a little bit, tiny bit of flavor in water. Gatorade's just so. The only good
It's
one is green
overrated.
apple.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, people are drinking more and more and more. And I learned this from oh my god, it might have been Monique. To Pedialyte has like 30 times the nutrients that Gatorade does.
I
It's
have a
sort of
cupboard
like
full of Pedialyte.
you ever see the potassium readings on the side of it? Crazy
No.
Robin
Let
with the
me look.
morning mochas, says Ben Benjamin. Tubi,
Why he gotta be black?
because he they said watch the movie, Affy. You will be they'll think exactly like we do.
You got a
How
virtue signal when
condescending
you're
it is.
making a TV movie.
Sterling, yes, John O'Reilly. Sterling Jenkins is the one who got Depp's phone back. Exactly
Yep.
right. I was throwing out exactly
He
right. And
marched
with
down to the
tacos.
ghettos of downtown LA to grab Tent City to grab that phone.
So it was Ben 4810 that said Depp looks like Oliver Twist in the comment to you, right, Sarah? Remember Ben wrote, and that's
No.
what made you remember. Ben 4810 commented on Depp in a scenario just like this. That's exactly right, Ben Benjamin. The Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids have. By the way, I watched a Fat Albert episode the other day. It was just some guy had a whole. He recorded Saturday morning cartoons on a VHS tape from the early 80s, and he just posted it. So
Cool.
I'm skimming through
I
it.
watched those too.
Fat Albert, it was crazy. In this episode, it was about racism and this gang. There's a racist gang, and they wrote on this CBS Saturday Morning on the wall in graffiti. It says "Go home, Jews." This is Fat
Wow.
Albert in the Cosby Show. Go home, Latino. So this is like an ongoing thing. I've got to show you this. I don't know. I can't find it now, but it was they always try to do messages back then, but they weren't.
Mhm.
I don't. They can't throw a punch on Saturday morning like on the Super Friends, but they can do that.
You know. So yeah.
I love Italian food. My favorite.
They're real sweet, man.
We're gonna get another Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's all right. You don't gotta answer it. You ain't gotta answer it. It's
No,
all good.
I can't answer it.
It's all good.
I mean, only just because.
I just miss you doing that. I just miss it. I miss it.
Oh, yeah, it was good fun. You know?
Yeah, brother.
It was good fun. Well, things
It's such a dopey question. I mean, you're getting
know,
the
but
Disney. It's kind of fun because
I
it's a
like it
Disney thing,
though. I kind of like
but
it because it got some info out of him a bit.
a little bit. But
So you,
he's a million opportunities to ask follow up, and he's ready for this. And just
chat,
again,
never forget this guy on the right arm thought that was Rosie Perez.
when the silhouette, you did too. When I showed you the silhouette,
I forgive you.
those Dookie brothers.
things go like they go, I guess.
What kind of music
You a real bastard, you know that?
you listening to nowadays, John?
See,
That's what she says to Depp in Jump Street.
I know.
The name of the restaurant is what was it again? It's
I didn't even hear it. I don't care. I can't afford
116
it, so
at the beginning of Augustino's. Augustino's.
okay. Do you think Depp actually paid a bill?
He's so gracious when he asks these, kind of prosaic questions, as it were. He's, the pirates question. Like a cantankerous, crotchety. Leonardo DiCaprio is the biggest prick there is in public, right? So if he
Mhm.
got a question like that, you think he would handle it like that? He wouldn't even be here. Number one,
No.
he'd have a back entrance. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. There's not a chance in hell he would stop and engage these people on any level.
He would have been already walking in the front door of the hose apartment that he was paying the rent for.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would have been hustled off to a van, driven out of there because God forbid you touch peasants.
My plan for a stop for quelling and stopping and solving the homeless and poverty problem in the United States is I'm going to take 2% of Leonardo DiCaprio and Jessica Alba's charmed life
Oh,
and distribute it to the rest of the United States.
good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I could use some of it.
They call that albalism,
Did you read this chat
DiCaprioism. What
on the screen that you put
Cape
up on the
Trusty?
screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just spent the last 10 minutes replaying Sara claiming that I just won the chat for tonight. Play it back with her comments about what boys do with boy parts to girls.
Okay. Whatever works.
That's crazy, Robin. Why is he signing a box of donuts?
That
That's
looks like
exactly what it
Funko
looks like.
Pops.
There's a Nike insignia on the side of it.
It could be just a random box, but those look like the mid-sized Funko Pops. I used to have to sell those pieces of shit, so
They're action
I'm
figures?
too
I mean,
familiar.
they're
No,
like
they're just
dolls.
like little plastic things with massive heads.
Yeah, Ben 4810. That's exactly what this is. It's nothing worse than Marianne from Brooklyn fangirl, cringy fan talk. That's exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Just like just cookie cutter fucking Ron. Where is the, see? This is where
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
Ron. Thank you, Melvin. Yeah, Ron Perlman. That's right. Thank you, Melvin. That's right. He's like what is his fortune from Ron Perlman? What is that exactly? What is what I
I
mean?
don't
Like what is
remember.
forget,
Isn't it media? I don't know.
I forget.
I don't even want to look up Ellen Barkin's life.
Ellen
But we're gonna
Barkin.
call him Melvin Googlestein because
Ellen
he
Barkin and
Googles all
Dennis
of the
Quaid.
answers we
That's
need.
the big what is the big picture, the big hit or the big picture? I know what Crazy Robin's talking about. There's an Ellen Barkin, Dennis Quaid movie from like the late 80s. Oh
Yeah.
God.
I I have no interest in her. Ever.
What age do you think Depp's going to mature? Says Affy.
75.
Do you mean just in behavior or looks? I don't know.
Probably looks. I don't think he ever will in terms of looks.
His lifestyle is in such. He's so many. His routine is in a way that there's no way to. What's the thing that did George Clooney coin this thing where he said that celebrities stay the same age as the age they got famous. So they're perpetually in the mindset of
They're
when
stunted.
they got so like say Depp got famous, let's say Jump Street, because he didn't get famous from the shit before it. He didn't get famous from Elm Street or Platoon, even though these things are huge, but he was not known for those things. He was just kind of had bit parts. So let's say Jump Street, right? He's on Jump Street at 20. The first day they shot at him on set he's 23. So according to Clooney's philosophy, Depp is perpetually stuck at 23 years old. You know what I'm saying? He says that you're stuck at the age you got famous.
I get it.
And I've heard that. I don't know. Again, I'm giving Clooney credit for it. I don't know if it was him that said that, but I kind of see it, in a lot of people. It tends to hold true in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Wild, the alcoholic troubled child actor who played the artful Dodger in Oliver, is also H.R. Puffin stuff. Okay, Ben. Yes. J.D. Puffin stuff is going to be using it. He's his physique. He's very puffy and he's skinny fat and dad bod but Depp's never been a guy that you care about his physique too much.
But see the
But
issue.
he looks strange now.
Remember the photo shoot, not the photo shoot, but the paparazzi got pictures of him in that mustard suit in the garage of his lawyer's office.
Yeah.
He looked exactly like this.
That's
He
right.
cleaned himself up for the trial.
Oh, it was in the garage? No, Sarah, it was in the parking garage.
Well, that's the garage, yeah.
Yeah.
But he cleaned himself up for the trial. So he's able to clean himself up. I'm not a fan of this look. I never have been, but he was doing this look before the trial.
The hair's got to go like I can't even articulate how bad I want that. It might be my least favorite hairdo he's ever had in his life.
I don't like it at all.
It's not that it's just it's not appealing on any level. And
I
don't
hated
know
it
if he
the
thinks it
first
fits in with the Beck tour or whatever. But
probably. I hated it the first 3 days of the trial. Thank God somebody convinced him to comb it back.
well, I mean, how many of these did I scream about the hair before
I
the
know.
trial?
Our first live episode, the one that we did for an hour before Radio Gunk,
Yeah.
before we went to full days, all we talked about was the hair because that's all we
Yep.
had to talk about. But
Yep.
yeah, we just I'm so happy he changed.
I went back and forth with Andrea Burkhart, the lawyer. I said, if you were representing him, I go, this is an email exchange, and I'm like, what? I go, what would you? I go, you'd let him? All that shit's that's at stake here, and it looks like he just looks like a devil may care derelict with the hair. It's not a good. It's horrible optics for that fucking jury. It just looks like someone who would do that. She's she's a little bit Pollyanna about it, but she did write me back. She goes, yeah. She goes, if I were on the team, I would tell him to go with the Public Enemy's hairdo.
Oh God, yes. Hubba,
I said
hubba.
Nick of Time. I said Nick of Time. She said Public Enemies.
Yeah. Oh, him in the wire glasses from Nick of Time. Oh.
That's the look. That's exactly the look.
Watch me fall out of my chair in ecstasy watching that trial with that look.
Randy Marsh, welcome. Didn't he say he'd never do another part? Yes, he did, Randy. He said it in the transcripts. He said it in emails.
That was
certainly don't. There's nothing we could squeeze out of these fucking movies. He shouldn't have done 4, and now we're on. He did his awful. 5 is a piece of shit. 5 bombed. 5 was everything, and you heard all the horror stories about him being late. 5 never should have been made. The fact that, and the whole thing was, oh my God, Pirate 6 was not made. It's not made. He's not going to do it. He has eviscerated Disney in every way, shape, and form. Do you really think he's going to work for them again? He doesn't want to, and they don't want him.
I know. I think if they crawled back to him though with an apology, a secret apology, and a massive contract that broke records, he probably would do it.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't gauge where he is with them. So let's get back to him.
See, you know who I listen to?
He's asked him what music does he listen to now, which is another hard-hitting question.
Well, a lot. Is Run the Jewels, you know?
The drums. All right.
Yeah, they've been coming to New York lately.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did a show at the Barclays Center a couple months ago.
they're so amazing, man. Killer Mike and
A legend like you to say that? Yeah.
No. He's not gonna do it. You gotta go.
Yeah, Gary, bring him, Gary.
We gotta go.
I'm the last one, man. I'm still waiting.
Can I get one really quick?
Is it Russell Westbrook?
I wish.
oh, who's Ken Bastille, sir?
Nice. Very nice. Look at this shit.
Well, yeah,
It's still going.
yeah. The U.S. was a little weird for a couple of years.
Yeah, we made it though, man. After COVID, we made it, you know?
Yeah. Everybody got through.
God bless, man.
You too, Robert. Thank you.
Nah, thank you more, man, for taking the time out for
And you're very funny. Nice callback to the Tubi
That's
movie.
a great callback. Yes, it is. I heard this restaurant makes the best tuna and corn sandwiches.
Oh God! I even think
That's
about that. I want to
great
throw
callback.
up.
I love that NA watched the whole movie. Patient and humble. That's exactly right, Crazy Rob. And if anybody didn't catch that, he said that he likes to Run the Jewels, which is Killer Mike.
I don't
Which
know.
is a kind of a rap. I mean, he's a rapper, philosopher. He's on Bill Maher all the time. I really love this guy. I agree with that. That was some good taste in some things, and some things I think some friends, very questionable friends that I would have exercised out of his life. But I love Doug Stanhope, and Killer Mike is I can listen to that guy all day. I don't know if you ever seen him as a guest or whatever. He's a phenomenal rock on tour and does juggles a lot of different hats. But I guess he's in I want to say hip hop band. I've Run the Jewels.
I don't know. I've never heard of him.
That's what he says. So he knows him from where do you think? City of Lies.
Oh, okay.
Killer Mike was on that set very often.
Okay.
Tone Cott with a great. I was thinking that too. I don't think Billy Joel had it in mind when he wrote scenes from an Italian restaurant. A bottle of red, a bottle of wine. Perhaps a bottle of rosé instead. I'll meet you anytime you want at our Italian restaurant. Do you know that song, Sarah?
No.
Do you really? You and your fucking Oregon, you Pacific North.
I've
really
heard
don't
of
know
the
that
song, and I think you made me listen to it once. You sent it to me.
No, I didn't.
I think you did. That's the only reason I would ever listen to it. But I was
By
okay.
law, if you're from Long Island, you have to know Billy Joel's.
Yeah,
whole,
we know
playlist.
Billy Joel here in the Ozarks. This is the Ozarks of the West, apparently. I see Ozarks in the chat, but we know Billy Joel, but I don't know the Italian restaurant. And I heard it, and I don't care for it.
Texo wants to know if Depp wears dentures.
Oh, I know what I forgot to.
He's had a lot of shit done to his mouth from Pirates.
No.
and
Listen. Before we move on, I watched this behind the scenes thing where he was in the makeup chair for Pirates, and he talks in detail about his teeth. I forgot to send it to you, so we need to play it next time.
You didn't? Did you download it or anything?
No, I forgot, but I saw
Okay.
it the other. I didn't send it to you. So
which
anyway,
which Pirates?
I don't know.
Crazy Robin says, I actually think Leo is in the closet. I Crazy Robin, I agree with that. I read, Sarah, didn't I send you an article about somebody wrote I saw that and I agree with Crazy Robin.
I do too, because of the trauma possibly that he went through as a youngster.
With the guy from the Dan Schneider guy,
Yeah.
Brian Beck.
Yep.
There's something going. I get an asexual thing out of him too, Crazy Robin. I there's something.
He's overcompensating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly what Crazy Robin said. Yep.
But she wrote it. She wrote overcompensating.
No, but she says he uses models as beards.
Melvin writes exactly. That's what we say about Howard too, Crazy Robin, with the Pam Anderson and Beth.
Yeah, but I don't think he was traumatized as a kid. He was.
No, I know, but he
was put in bubble wrap.
He's going for the the most cliche, like almost like an impression of a heterosexual with the blonde and the implants and the Jenna Jameson and Pam Anderson. But it's that type. It's that fucking blonde bimbo. Pedialyte, Melvin says, classic equals 16% of the daily value of sodium, 6% of the daily value of potassium, versus Gatorade, the daily, which is
Mr. Google.
What's that?
Mr. Google.
He's so fast too. With 7% of the daily value of sodium and 1% of the daily value, so it's 6 times the potassium. Pedialyte. Gatorade is more carbs and sugar. They said that I had a friend who went to nursing school, and they said in order for them to drink, they would put an IV of that of Pedialyte into themselves to replenish what you lost from drinking, because it dehydrates you. So when the way to beat a hangover is supposedly it's a loss of all those nutrients. It seems like it never is clear as to why it happens. But anyway, so people say that you could stave off a hangover if you drink Pedialyte. I don't know if it's a fail-safe thing. I've tried it, and I can't say that it worked. It's so hard to know. You have to have the discipline to drink it at the right time. And most time, when you're in a role, one of the drinking coach plans is 1 on, 1 off. So you can drink for fucking 10 hours if you have a beer and then a water or a soft drink, a hard drink, and then it's 1 on, 1 off. And it's not, I didn't make that up, but it's if you have the discipline to do that, it's a phenomenal buzz. And I've done it a few times, and it's great. You can really it's just a way to keep the night fun and buzz, and you're never really drunk, and little plastic things with massive heads. Melvin quotes you. Okay, Sarah, you want some moments from this tour he's on?
Okay.
Let's see if we can find David in this one. Let me see if I can. Here we go.
Look at that old man.
I think David's on the far right. If you
go down 1.
This is from Blow.
Okay.
I don't want
to skip around. I don't want to see this live. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He hits a note here.
Oh no. All right. Got better.
Do you ever hear the full version of this?
No.
He stole this riff from Mike Ravatz's, Sara. Jeff Beck did. He plagiarized this riff from Mike Ravatz's.
Again, I can't even hear Depp's guitar.
You never can. I was reading a review on their tour on one of the sites, and that's all that people say. I can't tell when he's playing. I don't know if he's plugged in. Over and over again, I see that.
Ay, ay, ay. Woo! I heard it. All right. Look how low his lanyard is.
She's married to Hellboy. That's
no,
Ron
it's a
Perlman.
different.
No, I know. I was confused too.
Why is his lanyard hanging to his knees?
Look at Jeff Beck's 79-year-old man boobs. I see his pokies at the 16-minute mark.
Oh, God. His hot pink pokies.
I want to know what's in that red party cup behind them.
Fruit juice.
Yeah, by the way, during the Italian restaurant thing, wouldn't a question you what did you eat?
I know.
Why is nobody asking what he had to fucking
I was
eat?
thinking that too. Because I was like, did you have manicotti? Did you have?
Give him the whole menu. What did he eat?
Yeah.
How hard could that question be? That's all I could think of. Oh man, I want to know what Sean Bet ate as well. I want to know what the bill was.
Uh-oh.
David C., I agree with you. By the way, here's what David C. Johnny's age 20 years after the trial. It really he actually
Yeah,
looked
that's why
younger
when
during the trial, David C. I agree.
that's because he was made up to look, much
Yeah.
better than normal. But this is his exact look before the trial.
Would you bail on the last day of the trial to
Oh
get
my
the victorious
God.
to get the end zone dance, right? We get denied
Oh.
his reaction at the thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. And the more I see this Jeff Beck stuff, the more I hate that he did that. The more angry I get. Look at this, Sarah. You left that for this? It's a cover band.
We
This is
have been over
karaoke.
this
This is
100
one step
times.
away from karaoke. Listen to this. They're covering Beatles music. Does it get any more hackneyed than
I
that?
didn't even know that was a Beatles song.
Yeah, I heard the news today.
Oh, all right.
My parents traumatized me at 9, so I'm stuck at 9 years old, says Affy.
Mm.
What, Sarah, you said you're stuck at 22. Did you not say that?
Did I say why?
No.
No, I feel mentally like I'm 22.
Can
I'm not stunted.
can you tell Crazy Robin why?
I still view myself as young mentally. It's not because I'm traumatized. I was never traumatized. But I don't know. I quickly realize how old I am when I get out of a chair and my knee cracks. But I feel young mentally. That's what's going to be torture when I get into my 70s.
You said you're what did you say? You're 40 what? You don't have to say
I'm
your name.
44. I don't
You're
care.
44, but you read on a 46-year-old level.
I probably read on a 16-year-old level.
You read on a 22-year-old level. But Depp is an old tortured soul, which could have well happened in his early teen years, possibly arrested around 15 or
Yeah.
so.
Well, the whole thing with his mother kicking him out of the house when he's a child.
That's the trauma. I think if anything, you're
Mhm.
getting emancipated, literally emancipated from his mother at 17. His parents divorced at 15. So I there's I guess it applies. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's the emancipation age is the age he's really stuck at. But in terms of famous, he was famous at 23. 24 is when Jump Street really kind of took hold, but he was on the show at 23. The floppy hat does have to go. David C. Couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. Depp is known to use body doubles. He's probably in Spain with Amber, rekindling their laughing their
Oh,
fucking heads off. What did he use a body double for? I'm gonna have that's a good show, by the way. The body double show. Go through it.
Jump
I've
Street he
seen
did.
Jump Street's a ton of body doubles. We noticed. By the way, we should also say before we forget, right? So we're doing on Patreon our first the Jump Street pilot,
Yep.
and that's gonna be when are we recording that?
I want to do it this weekend, maybe.
Let me see if I can fit it in.
You're so busy.
We have the original airing, thanks to Boff. I have the original airings, the with the music and everything. So if you don't have the music on that show, you're missing the boat on so much shit. In the pilot, it's the Stevie Winwood soundtrack, if you remember
Mhm.
right. The finer things keep shining through the way my soul gets lost in you.
Yes, it will
The
be
sh-
a fair use transformative content viewing of the pilot episode of Jump Street with a young Tommy Hansen, written to be Alex P.
Mo-
Keaton of
Morty
Fox.
Seinfeld,
Mm-hmm.
Barney Martin.
Everyone's hero, Morty Seinfeld.
Morty Seinfeld is his Depp's partner on the verge of retirement as they ride around. What's the And I'm back in the high life again. All the doors are closed one time, will open up
Ow.
again.
See, I'm old. My leg went out. Okay, sorry, everybody. Go ahead.
I want to know who the black. What does the black always have to play bass? Is that a
Yes.
law in rock and roll that Wayman Tisdale? Why can't Wayman Tisdale be in this band?
It's Indigio Cello, whatever her first name was.
You remember her? Did she play with Mellencamp in that song?
Yes.
Wild night is
Yes. And do you remember
falling.
David Bowie?
How do you remember that?
David Bowie had a black woman playing bass.
Yes, it's always the black's always the bass guitarist. I think it's a cool factor or something, or they just can always.
She played with David Bowie at Howard's birthday show.
Was she really at that thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
She was on the I'm Afraid of Americans era tour with Nine Inch Nails.
God,
Great
where
song.
is? Oh God, where's the damn? This I had the fucking the Zoom of the David and Depp's band.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I want to see if I can find it quick. If I'm not going to spend, I don't know if I loaded it in the
we
right
still have
folder.
Playboy to get to.
I know. Okay, let's go to. Let me see if this is it.
I don't
So
hate it.
they're Lincoln parking his voice.
I don't hate it.
They're digicide. Let's go around.
Like the fire, burn your mask and animal skins. Illumination. Listen to the drums.
I don't hate this.
I want you to watch him dance. He does the
No,
Trump dance.
he doesn't
No, watch him.
dance.
Watch him. He does a little Trump dance.
And animal skins. Illumination. Listen to the drums.
You see it?
Not a dance. He moved his leg.
Watch. No, right. That's not a dance?
My ass is that guitar.
You gotta make a GIF of that dance.
Can I superimpose my ass in front of the guitar?
His default accent's always British, even
Yeah, I
like
know.
during this when he sings especially.
I found that interview I told you about from 2002. I've never heard him. He's speaking in a Spanish accent.
Okay, I think I know what it is. Arizona Dream. He's talking to a
Yes.
French interviewer, and he tries to sound French throughout
No,
the interview.
but he was like, this is literally what he sounds like. And I styled my hair like a cock. It's like,
Yeah,
what?
no, I know
What?
exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know, Texaho, I agree. I like this.
It almost sounds like the stereo MCs connected a little bit.
Yeah. Cindy Clausen, thank you.
David C says Disney will not apologize, and they'll say it with money. I agree,
Yeah.
David. They never do. They never do. He's so right. They fucking they're so pumped with the Marvel success that they shouldn't take credit for on any level. They just have Marvel into their so they're so fucking full of themselves. They will never. I agree with that. They will never apologize. Is this Depp's outside Depp's eaters and the NA? I think it's a lot to do with, and Sara feels that it's drug that he's on the wagon, and his metabolism was sped up by Adderall and MD and all these different drugs
Cocaine.
and stuff, and now cocaine and actual cocaine.
Same.
And
Hey, but remember, flashback to a few episodes ago with Amber Heard's bloating up too.
that's exactly right. Same deal.
So I think they're both in the same situation. They just don't have access like they normally would. I think
Dehydration.
with him, I think people are watching closely now.
Melvin goes, Sarah would need a gallon of Pedialyte if she got a picture like this
I
with
don't know what I
JD.
would do.
Oh, dehydration.
I don't know what I would do. I would have better questions. And I don't think I would have him sign anything. That's stupid.
It's so stupid. I know. If he's impressed, he carries the accent manner of speaking off stage. That's so true, John O'Reilly. Autograph hounds,
Yeah, they're
those aren't
professional
Depp fans.
autograph
Yes,
seekers.
exactly right, Texaho. They're professional autograph hounds, we should say. Rapper, philosopher. Yes, Texaho. He was on Ozark, the Jason Bateman show. Is Pellel? We're talking about fucking Killer Mike. Ozarks. Is that's the right the Jason Bateman show? Or is there something else?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I know, John O'Reilly. The call, John O'Reilly. The callback joke from the trial would be, "How many ounces is a mega pint glass of wine?"
You
Is
got to
that
say
what
it
you're?
right. Mr. Depp, how many ounces in a megapint?
Well, that's you talk about Rottenborn said that to him.
No, Depp's yes, but Depp goes a megapint.
Well, I know. Big Man on Mulberry Street. That's my favorite Billy Joel song, Ben. I can't believe you referenced that. And I say all the time, that's exactly right. That was done in the fucking Moonlighting soundtrack. But I said that should be in the fucking Donnie Brasco soundtrack because if you listen to the song, I actually asked Sara, and she still hasn't, she's been dicking around on this for about a year straight to make a Donnie Brasco video using that song. If you listen to the lyrics, it could be Lefty's anthem from
Okay.
Donnie. It is so spot on
You
to that
mentioned
movie.
it a year and a half ago and haven't since.
What what I'm trying to think of there's a line in that song. It's spot on. It says why don't we cool now? I mean, he's describing a play by play. Billy Joel's music. If I could say the most biggest compliment is to me, it's like the anthem of sexy old late 70s early 80s New York because so many of those songs describe it and no better song than that to do it. I
Hmm.
think it is my favorite Billy Joel song. Gen X males will be the last to fetishize models. That's right. You need the potassium for alcohol, says Crazy Robin. The hospitals actually have tablets of potassium that fizz, and they make you drink it to recover from alcohol. Okay, potassium is the clear antidote to a hangover. It's official. I'm giving Arm a case of Pedialyte for Christmas. You can actually get it at the dollar store. Um,
It's no longer the dollar store.
oh right, $1.25. That's a
Mm,
pretty big hike. 25%
thanks,
increase.
Biden.
You blaming Biden for the dollar store going up?
Only
You
to make you
you're
mad.
blaming Hunter S. Biden's laptop.
No, I blame him for making me see him dancing naked in front of a laptop,
David
coked
C
out.
goes, Jeff Beck plays without a pick. Those fingers must be hell on his wife. I don't understand
Oh,
that either, David. I don't know how people don't use a pick.
I played guitar
Why bother?
once and my finger hurt and I stopped. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
how.
guitar.
Yeah, it's amazing how they do that without a pick.
I don't get it. I think it's kind of like some point of pride or some kind of like the real musician doesn't use a pick. I don't get it. If you have a pick, use it.
I think
No
the
one
Edge plays sometimes without a pick.
is that his thing.
Who? Oh God, who does? Oh, Lindsey. I'm thinking. I don't know why I mixed him up. Lindsey Buckingham. He grows his nails long to play without a pick. It's so disgusting.
Crazy Robin goes. Johnny loves to sing and perform before acting. Um, it seems so Crazy Robin just from a selfish consumer standpoint. He can't do this if it's not for the acting. Do you think Jeff Beck would have given him the time of day if he doesn't have the massive movie stardom and the clout to even arrange to meet these people? He can't
Hmm.
get in the same room as Alice Cooper without fame from acting or Joe Perry. They'd have nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
So this is like if I became this famous actor and I said, okay, now I'm going to go touring with my favorite basketball players and act like I'm on their level because I'm gonna like I would never they would never you know what I mean like you have no right being in the same but with music it's so like arbitrary that you can't prove what a great musician is or you deserve to be in the same stage with these people. But how much of a how castigated would I be if I pretended to be on the same level as like my favorite basketball players because I became a fan and I had access to them because I was this famous actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he doesn't have and and I don't know artistically what he gets out of this. I'm speaking truly from an artiste
It's not up
standpoint.
to you to
It
know.
is up to me. I'm he claims to be Mr. RT. So
What's the
artistically, what
problem?
do you get out of this? Doing covers and doing it the same way night after night after night versus doing a phenomenal script and creating your own characters in a movie like a Donnie Brasco, like a Black Mass, whatever. How artistically is this superior to acting in film, to acting in all the strips that he gets? How is this superior artistically?
Let him do what he wants for a few months.
Depp is singing about pussy fog.
Every song is about pussy
That's the
fog, pretty much.
greatest. I don't know why there isn't a song title named Pussy Fog, John O'Reilly.
I'm gonna start a band called Pussy Fog.
It's a great song title or band, whichever. Hold Johnny close, Sarah. Veal. Like Depp, I don't think they plug in Bono's guitar during U2 con.
Yeah.
That's fun. Does he play?
Then I've said that.
Does Bono play guitar?
Bono will hang an acoustic guitar around his neck and like tap it once during a song. Not even hit the string.
Doesn't John Bon Jovi do that? Like just a lot of lead
yes.
guys do that now. They just throw a guitar around.
Watch the Blaze of Glory video, and you'll see it's a very similar technique. Bon Jovi, Depp, and Bono.
What's amazing is Depp. You remember his reticence and phobia about performing and singing? That his whole thing was, I like to be in the background, in the shadows, playing guitar. And now look at this. Like it took Alice Cooper to convince him. Wait a minute, you sang in Sweeney Todd. Why can't you just sing on stage? What is the big deal? And now he's doing this.
Yep.
NA writes, I want Depp to be handed a subpoena on stage from the guy who ripped off the song. That blues man, that's crazy blatant plagiarism. I can't believe that's not a bigger story. It got a little bit of, that's how Teflon he is, Sarah, that wasn't picked up on. They stole that, I mean, verbatim. It's not even subtle.
He sees me in the crowd. See those black nails. I know you're a fan.
Yeah, it's gonna be 60.
I need him to have facial hair.
He's in parody of himself mode right now. He really is.
Mr. Johnny, I will hold you in my arms.
Mr. Johnny.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Johnny. Yes, no problem. I don't even know what he said in that song.
Okay, I caught this before. This sounds like Jeff Beck's creating public domain music for like like Tubi. Listen to this.
Look at that squirrel on his head.
There's David. Okay, David, bottom right. There he is. That's where I saw it. It was this video. That's why I got this. It wasn't for Jeff Beck. It was for David, who's the real star of this video. So there's David.
Such an innocent boy.
Look at him. That note was all David. I'm telling you, this whole thing is. Crazy Robin is
Wait.
spot on, by the way.
Hold on. Your friend Brendan is BL, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he says Detective Munch jamming out.
Richard Belzer. Ah, that's great. That's fucking Belzer, Brendan. That's great. Thank you again, Cindy Clausen. I needed to
Yes,
thank you.
thank you as
I'm so
always.
behind on the chat. Detective Munch. Rick Ocasek too, Crazy Robin. That's true. Crazy Robin up here said that she thinks that Depp had a bite of Depp took a bite of an appetizer or two and then just drank like a fish the whole time. That's exactly right. That's exactly what I picture goes
No,
on.
I want to feed him a manicotti,
Mozzarella
and then
sticks.
he can feed me his manicotti.
I would have gone to because John, I would have gone to eaten at Costco. Who would expect that Depp would have eaten at Costco, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Rick Ocasek and Belzer had a kid. That's so great.
Yeah. No, it's Rick Ocasek and
Ricko
Belzer's
Belzer.
grandpa.
Rick O'Belzer. Richard O'Belzer. There he is. Anyway, great work, David.
That
Don't
drummer,
think we
somebody
didn't see you.
mentioned. No, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear you for a second. It froze up. Okay, sorry. That drummer, somebody mentioned who the drummer is. She looks exactly like Goldie Hawn in Butterflies Are Free. If anybody
What
knows that
year
reference.
did that movie come
It's in
out?
the 60s. It's like one of her first
Butterflies
ever
Are
movies.
Free?
I know, it's so horrible. And I've watched it 100 times.
Oh my Goldie Hawn and Butterflies Are Free, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. All right, what were
Okay,
you
so
saying? I'm sorry.
why we were talking about From Hell before, I want to say rest in peace, Robbie Coltrane, who is a great character actor who died today at 72. And he
Oh,
was
yeah.
Depp's sidekick in From Hell. And so this is how this went. And I saw this at the last second just before we went on here.
Harry Potter fans and celebrities around the world are mourning the death of Robbie Coltrane. The actor, who was best known for playing Rubius Hagrid in all of the Harry Potter films, passed away on Friday at the age of 72, according to his agent Belinda Wright. Following the news of his death, several celebrities sent their condolences to the late star, including his Harry Potter co-star Daniel Radcliffe, who shared a statement with Access Hollywood that read, quote, "Robbie was one of the funniest people I've met and used to keep us laughing constantly as kids on the set. I have especially fond memories of him keeping our spirits up on Prisoner of Azkaban when we were all hiding from the torrential rain for hours in Hagrid's hut, and he was telling stories and cracking jokes to keep morale up. I feel incredibly lucky that I got to meet and work with him and very sad that he's passed. He was an incredible actor and a lovely man." Emma Watson, who played Hermione Granger in the beloved franchise, shared a photo of her and Robbie on Instagram, writing, quote, "Rest in peace, Robbie Coltrane. Robbie was like the most fun uncle I've ever had, but most of all, he was deeply caring and compassionate towards me as a child and..."
This is how stupid I am. I really thought they were going to spend the whole Access Hollywood on his rolling From Hell. Like somehow it's bigger than the Harry Potter movies. That's how stupid I am. I really believe. How could you scream that Access Hollywood for leaving From Hell out? Like anybody but us care about that movie versus Harry Potter.
I hate to grift in the middle of this. You're going to
Brendan's
answer this question?
Yeah. Brendan asks, how does Patreon work? You pay through Patreon and somehow get access to additional YouTubes from you guys. Pardon the ignorance. No, Brendan, you explain it, Sari, because you actually set it up. So I'm not even.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, I feel like a piece of shit for grifting in the middle of this memoriam here.
No, that's a good question. It's because of the Jump Street, the start of it.
If I don't, I'm going to forget it. So anyway, it's patreon.com/WINO forever, but it's $2 a month. But you can pay whatever you want, 2 and over, whatever.
We were forced to do that because of the City of Lies debacle. When we tried thinking it would just not, because originally we had done it through YouTube.
Yeah.
And then that was just so stupid to have even thought that we could get away with that.
We are just starting to add Patreon only watch along episodes because we can't do them on YouTube. So We're going to try to get one of those done once every week or at least a couple times a month. So, but
In
again,
addition,
$2.
I'm putting on various well, with it, Mr. Feeney reads erotica. That's what, but I'm putting on tons of Stern stuff that just to sweeten the pot, just to throw stuff that was banned on YouTube because it
Yeah.
was too salacious. Or so a lot of compilations that I personally made, I'm going to put on at least once a week, as I think of them or if I have them at the ready. And the last one I did was the Ed Bradley funeral saga, which was an hour and a half.
Hmm.
There's tons of there's the Hurricane Sandy saga I made, which is 9 hours. The Gary First Pitch saga, which is 9 hours. Howard leaves Gary's dinner party, which is 3.5 hours, and then Gary's
Yeah.
father's funeral, which Howard blew off. That's 2.5. Just I have a ton of these, and some of them were just verboten on YouTube, like summarily blocked.
Hmm.
And so those will go on there because it's just a safe haven for it's just a safe storage space as well for you guys to listen to.
Hmm. But you pay once a month. It's $2. Usually comes out on the 1st. But yeah, you go to patreon.com and you watch the video or through Patreon.
Anything we can't, that's we feel is going to be some copyright Nazi thing that we're going to move it. And the Jump Street series watch along unfortunately has to be on that.
Hmm. We cannot do that here.
And especially because it's all the music is, restored. It's the original episodes.
Hmm. But we're gonna be adding a lot more Patreon only stuff to it. So anyway, okay.
An adult. His talent was so immense it made sense he played a giant. He could fill any space with his brilliance. Robbie, if I ever get to be so kind as you were to me on a film set, I promise I'll do it in your name and memory. Know how much I adore and admire you. I'll really miss your sweetness, your nicknames, your warmth, your laughs, and your hugs. You made us a family. No, you were that to us. There was no better Hagrid. You made it a joy to be Hermione. The author of the books, J.K. Rowling.
Who's this vocal fry vixen voicing this over? Good God.
I don't
She's
really hear
trying. She's
vocal
trying
fry.
to. She's trying to sound like broken up with vocal fry at the same time. It's
I didn't
her
hear
love for
vocal fry
Robbie,
though.
writing, I'll never know anyone remotely like Robbie again. He was an incredible talent, a complete one-off, and I was beyond fortunate to know him, work with him, and laugh.
J.K. Rowling was one of the people that defended Depp during the
Yeah,
when he drove the balls in his ass.
I don't know all the details, but she gets a lot of shit now from the woke mob
Why?
because I think she had said some questionable things about. Again, I don't know all the details, but I think she made comments about trans rights. I don't know. I could be wrong, but she gets a lot of shit for just speaking out, giving her opinion.
Yeah, you can't be
You can't do it anymore.
candid in any way, shape, or
I saw a
form.
tweet. Somebody said, "Don't you feel like you should be ashamed?" And she goes, "No, my shame goes away every time I look at my residual check." I
Oh,
was like,
she
"Good
said
for-"
that.
Yeah, I
I
was like,
knew
"Good for
that.
you."
Melvin says, "What's the name, Sarah? DiCello. How do you say it? The John Mellencamp, Robin Quivers.
I didn't hear half of
Meg
that. Sorry.
DiCello. Remember you brought her up before with Mellencamp?
Michelle Indegiocello.
Okay. Melvin writes, she has worked with Chaka Khan, Beyonce, Erica Badu, T.I., Lee Ritenour, Jeff Beck, and Terry Lynn Carrington. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you, Melvin.
Oh,
She's it's quite prolific
Kylo gave
and
me some
eclectic.
context. JK is a feminist. She wants rights for women and is against all the men pretending to be women. Well,
This
it would be
is it.
lovely if I could give my opinion, but we can't on YouTube, so.
This is it. Make no mistake where you. Kenny Loggins and with
Great
Michael.
song.
Oh, my Michael McDonald over here.
Yeah.
That was Johnny's third leg moving his guitar, says Crazy Robin.
Hey. Hey now.
My head
Right.
off with him. I send my love and deepest condolences to his family, above all, his children. The Harry Potter cast has come together to remember their late friend, with many posting their own tributes on social media, including Matthew Lewis, who played Neville Longbottom in the series. Robbie, Bob Sir, he called me Space Boy. We shared a love for the final frontier. He didn't give a and it always made you smile. A giant in more ways than one. We had some times, he tweeted. James Phelps, who played Fred Weasley in the series, also shared his condolences.
What do you think of this, Sarah? Texaho writes, Depp should drink and drug in spite of any scrutiny. I believe if Hunter S. Thompson were still alive, he would do exactly that. I always wonder what Thompson would like, how this goes down if Thompson were around during that trial.
So
If it
this tribute
corrupted him.
doesn't. Yeah, no, I agree. This tribute though doesn't mention anything about anything other than Harry
No,
Potter.
it doesn't. I'm just going through his
on Twitter.
career.
Robbie appeared earlier this year in HBO Max's documentary Harry Potter 20th Anniversary Return to Hogwarts. And he shared what the beloved film franchise and Hagrid would do for many generations to come.
The legacy of the movies is that my children's generation, but Hagrid will. Yes.
So this is him in these are deleted scenes, never shown, an alternate ending from Hell. So this is
Okay.
Depp with Robbie Coltrane.
Fair use.
Yeah, this was never aired in the
Was it
movie.
another one?
This is a deleted
What did you
scene.
see? What is it?
They don't make any sense. I think it might be time for me to take a little walk.
I'm not having you disappear into some Chinese hole. Smoke that damn dream stick again.
Then we'll have to search.
Search for what? Your bloody dreams?
Transforming content.
All these women were there. All these women were eyewitnesses to an event that could rip the empire to pieces.
So, this is it, I take it.
It's a very good look for him.
This is 2001. Came out in October of
I'm
2001.
risking my job for you. The least you could do is bloody stay awake.
Awake or asleep, dearest Sergeant Godley, I know that the luckiest day of my life was the day that we became friends.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Gonna stay alert?
Alert.
He died at 72. So during this, he's slightly older than me now. This is 20 something years ago. And he can't believe, how much I can't believe that movie's 20 years ago.
I know.
It's crazy.
He's
So
my
yeah,
dad's age.
he died at he's
Ugh.
exactly your dad's age.
Yeah.
We're all old. We all paid our dues. We deserve our nip. Yes, Texaho agreed. From what I understand, in the original cast, this is how weird Hollywood is. Originally, that was supposed to go to Sean Connery. Depp's role.
No,
The way
no,
it's
no,
written
no.
is a much older, crustier Fred Aberline, and the studio made them young it up, and they gave it to Depp. That's how that story went with the Hughes brothers and From Hell. If you in the comic, it's a Sean Connery looking guy, and so they needed to, like, somehow that wasn't going to sell, and who knows how it would have went. NA writes, I need to see Lily Rose in a thong in one of those cages on stage. You want to see? She's in a, what is it called? The Idol, Sarah?
I
It's
don't
an
know.
HBO series. NA. She's in an HBO series, which it's so funny how thinking that somehow she got that role on her own, and I don't know if it's out yet.
You don't think she didn't audition 25 times
Yes. She auditioned like Amber Heard auditioned
on a
for
casting
Rumba.
couch
Yeah.
with Harvey Weinstein?
And I actually want to look at the producers of that show, and I want to see, like, in the credits, to see, because you could play 6 Degrees of Depth to see who he knows in the credits, to see how she got that. Pell writes, banana is a flavor that's better in thicker drinks, like a protein shake.
Yeah.
Gatorade with steam water. Yeah, I guess so. We'll see. I'd like to see him try. Maybe I could brew my own. I got blisters. Oh, I got blisters on me fingers. Thanks. Thank you, Crazy Robin. I'm not sure. So, but JD singing is like getting high in a new drug. Acting can be the same old high. I guess so, pal. But he was guitar. I mean, he's been playing longer than he's been, acting. Every time you get a new script, I would think there's a new high in creating a new character, and you can do whatever you want. I don't know. I just artistically, I just think it's the opposite of art. Is playing the same song every night, especially doing covers. It's literally a karaoke band. Okay, next thing we're gonna do. I want to play this for people. This is Dr. Drew's diagnosis of Amber Heard. I found this today when I was looking for the Stephen Van Zandt town hall with Depp. So this just turned up when I Googled, not Google. I gotta stop saying fucking Google. When I searched Depp's name on the Sirius search, this came up, and I just checked it out. And this is Dr. Drew talking about how he was afraid to go into a room with borderline personality disorder patients because they would accuse him of rape.
Oh my God.
Yeah, listen to this.
Self-destructiveness and drug use. And one of the really key features that I think Amber Heard and Johnny Depp did us a public service by showing publicly how messy these things are and how distorted people's perceptions can be. Johnny, because he was loaded and out of his mind and maybe in a blackout, but Amber, because she has this disorder. You asked me, let me just talk about the distortions. I can't tell you how many times I would always go in a room with another female nurse or whatever, because very frequently, if I went in the room with a borderline patient, we'd have a nice encounter. I'd get her history, do an exam, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary for me. I would leave, and the patient would report he was abusive. He touched me inappropriately.
Don't you believe that?
I do, absolutely.
So he's been doing this since his like mid to late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he was a certified, on the board. So this goes back. And so he just has this litany of experience with these borderline chicks accusing him, going to that same move every time.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this crazy?
It's totally believable.
And they're not. And the patient would report he was abusive. He touched me inappropriately. And they're not lying. They're not lying. They distort because they were so. One of the theories is they're so badly victimized at one time that they literally distort. And then when you have that distortion and then put memory on top of it, and memory is a very seriously flawed instrument in our brain, you get really significant distortions of the truth. And I think that was on display with Amber. It wasn't not a lot of made of that, but her perception of what people accused her of lying. I don't think she was lying. I think that was her perception of what happened.
Wow. That's an interesting legal question, I have to tell you, because if she's not lying, if she actually believes it in her head, given the actual malice standard you have to prove under New York Times versus Sullivan, he might not have had her on defamation if she was truly deluded.
Well, it's not a delusion, it's a distortion. And let me just tell you that one of the things I noticed, and you might be interested in this from a legal perspective, when back in the 90s, all through the 90s, when a borderline would come into the hospital, she would have a minimum of 20 lawsuits under her belt. The legal system was used.
I believe
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
How that should be such a bigger kind of thing. I mean, this is like way after the trial and stuff, but he's kind of giving an average of 20 lawsuits.
Yeah,
every borderline, this whole thing, knee-jerk move is just sue everything in sight.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's real or not, who knows? Who knows what's real?
In the name of this pathology, and all the SLAPP and anti-SLAPP laws were really created in response to these what were called frivolous lawsuits. But to the patient, they weren't frivolous. They actually believed these things happened. The legal system completely fell for it. The problem is now the legal system has adjusted a bit, but some of these same problems are now out in the legislature.
Why didn't Camille go after Dr. Drew for the fucking trial? He's used to the cameras and everything. He's born to do this. Right?
Yeah. Can you imagine Elaine, though? You're just looking for your 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
You knew the cameras would be here.
Who's next? Adam Carolla?
No.
Wait, I got confused. You're saying a borderline personality will have filed 20 lawsuits or will have been the subject of, the defendant in?
Filed.
Okay. Vexatious
Filed.
litigant.
Yeah. The system, the legal system was caught on to what was going on, but they were being used as an instrument in their psychopathology. It was really disturbing at the time because a lot of people were harmed by it.
Well, if you look at somebody like Amber Heard, I'm not asking you to diagnose her. We already had testimony from somebody who did.
Pellel goes, this is an interesting question. All these people, it's like he's in the background. I bet it would be tougher if he had a smaller crowd watching him play. That's really good, Bell. I think it's easier in that large arena. That's exactly right. If Depp played for a crowd of like 12, right? Or 20 or something, how does that go? That's a great thought. I never thought of that. Axl Rose vibe, Gunga Din. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Back a modern day Axl Rose.
Interview her, though she says not for long enough, and whatever it was, 12 to 18 hours. Who says she is one? Her expert said no. Could you have a borderline personality with as much commercial success in their life as she's had?
There's lots of them out there. I see them all the time. Just like we talked about the prosocial psychopaths out there. People can adjust and their personality. And by the way, you can have traits and not technically, if you have a true disorder, it should at least affect your functioning interpersonally or professionally or physically, like your health is suffering. And usually all those areas are affected, but you could have traits that are really intense, but not actually affect your functioning. As it pertains to her diagnosis, she wasn't just interviewed, as I understand. Now, I wasn't there and I don't know the instruments she used. The psychiatrist that interviewed her testified on the stand that she used specific neuropsychiatric instruments that are really just these Scantron test sheets, and they give you the diagnosis. There really is not a lot of debate about, whether those things, that is sort of the gold standard. And she was not just borderline, she had borderline traits and histrionic traits, both. And that's a pretty rough combination. That is rough.
So, question both ways, because I know every woman I know who's single is worried about hooking up with a sociopath, like somebody who has no empathy. Forget psychopath, that's obvious. But like a sociopath, who's just dead inside, has no empathy and doesn't care about feelings, but knows how to fake it. That's one. But on the other end, now every man I know is worried about hooking up with an Amber Heard. Right. There's that meme online, like after the trial, where like, "Hey, fellas, she's available," and it's like, no, thank you. Well, and so what do you tell people on that?
There's a bunch of things I want to say about that. One is let's not disparage people with borderline disorder or borderline traits. Nobody suffers more.
Empathy for them. It's just I don't want to marry one.
Let's not disparage. You fuck with my life, I'm going to disparage you, and I'm going to ruin you. I don't care if you have a disorder.
Plus, you don't know what's real and what's fake.
Yeah, I'm not going to pat your little hand.
You have an excuse with borderline that you can just do anything you want.
No.
And I don't trust that. What do you know and what don't you know? If some of it's like you're chalking it up to mental illness, and I'm the most empathetic there is towards as someone who has forms of severe depression and anxiety issues for years, and this isn't but that's a whole other level. When you're diagnosed borderline, it gives you license to just do whatever the hell you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hide behind that.
Yeah, you ever report that I touched, not you, but anybody, a woman or whoever, says I touched them inappropriately if I happen to be in a room with them alone? No, I will not only end you, not your life, but I will end you legally. I will do everything I can to end you personally.
And don't you think Depp knows exactly what she is and what she has and what she, and what's fake and he's seen her in action in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
When it is a legitimate freak out or some psychological disorder, and when she's just using her feminine wiles to get her way.
Mm-hmm. And
how do you know the difference?
She's gallivanting and bloating up all over Europe, and people are still like, "Oh, look at her, she's so strong." No. Good for him. Who cares how much money he blew through defending himself?
It's
good
the
for
ultimate
him.
And I can't think of another thing that's the ultimate in unaccountability diagnosis than that. What Drew just said. And I respect him for giving us his experience with it. And he's certainly, seen it up and down. but it does
Mm-hmm.
not give you the right to do whatever the hell you want, then
No.
hide behind that illness whenever it's convenient to.
And unfortunately, many people, they have to be like a victim of something. They have to have a
Yeah.
syndrome in life.
Yes.
And it's just,
I
they
can't
had
wait,
a bad
to tell you the
day,
next.
so they have depression. They had a bad day.
Thank
No,
you, Scout Finch. It's like a weird, soft vocal fry. Talk about
I
the
didn't hear it. Maybe it's
Axis
just me.
solid. Yeah, it's just I did. Yeah, I mean vocal fries in the ear of the beholder. By the way, women are born with a uterus. Kylo Sierra Alpha. J.K. Rowling is a feminist. She wants to fight. Oh, you read that before, right? Women
Yeah, we can't even get
against
it. We
all.
can't even talk about it on this platform.
I get that, but I just want to put it out there that nobody suffers more than the borderline, him or herself. They suffer a lot, and they use something called projective identification, where they push their pain out into other people. That's why they're so difficult to be around. But I actually did very well with borderlines. I do well with it when I'm out in practice with them, because I just feel deep empathy for them. I know they're in a lot of pain, and you just got to contain them. You have to know what you're dealing with. But if you're in a romantic relationship with them, it's rough. Here's another piece of advice. If you have borderline personality traits, you are going to tend to attract and be attracted to sociopaths. So, and if you're a sociopath, you're going to be interested in and you're going to attract borderlines. When we run a drug unit, those were the two personality diagnoses we had to immediately separate, because they would end up in some sort of inappropriate contact.
Beth, anyone? So I put together something here. By the way, Pellel writes, should fair use
should be
would
fair use.
Overhauling Sara. I'm afraid of that shit. The way how quickly that got taken down.
Well, it was on YouTube.
Are we able
That's
to
the
use
problem.
overhauling in our setup?
You mean on Patreon?
The Amber Heard, David Heard overhauling episode.
Okay. Do you mean on Patreon?
Yes.
Yes, probably.
In the setup that we have now.
Yes. It's fair use.
Can review Lily Rose's Instagram. We were going to do a show.
I would love
That's
to
funny.
do that.
I thought we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just her Instagram. It's the comments on the Instagram of people screaming at her for not defending her dad 24/7. These Deptford wives think she should be her, and she should be. You got to take it if you're going to feel sorry for the kids in some way. They're looking at a home wreckage of they love their mom, much like the Stern girls, right? Should they be obsessed with watching their dad with their home wreck, who really ruined their family unit?
They hated her. Lily Rose wrote her that letter. Remember that Depp mentioned on the stand?
Yeah.
But it was deemed hearsay. I don't think that should have been hearsay.
And it has been
I
proven
would love
that
to hear that
he's
email.
kind of estranged from the kids for 2 years.
Yeah, of course.
So it's something that it's a weird thing for them to comment on. Good.
Cue your impersonation. Hey. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, he talks about my kid again, just like in London, like you design.
I am sorry, everybody. That's just for my entertainment.
Hey, he talked about my kid again, just like in London, like you design.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so this is something I cobbled together from the trial. This is Dr. Shannon Curry, forensics psychologist. She diagnoses Amber Heard, but I put together histrionic personality disorder. So most of the people in this chat are Stern fans, and you've heard us. I have diagnosed Beth with this for years. We have a deppening that we haven't fully done called Bethstrionic personality disorder. And all the time she's getting attacked on the street and she falls. And so Dr. Shannon Curry diagnoses Amber Heard here with histrionic. And I want you to not think of Amber Heard. I want you to think of Beth when I play this for you. It is fucking frightening.
The vocabulary alone.
Oh God, you got to hear this. And I know you haven't heard it. So
I've heard this 100
Dr.
times.
Shannon. Now if somehow, like Sara, if you could somehow superimpose Beth's face over Amber during this whole thing. This is a prelude to what we're going to play on Gunkdown. I'm just giving people a sneak preview of it right here.
Okay.
When it comes to histrionic, a lot of the key features are going to be drama and shallowness. Similar with histrionic personality disorder, that underlying drive is to always be the center of attention. Because if you don't have that attention on you, it feels similarly to borderline personality disorder. You feel pretty empty, like you don't have that sense of being or of value, okay? With histrionic personality disorder, what you're going to see is extreme discomfort with not being the center of attention,
Look at the
extreme
hatred.
efforts to be the center of attention. And when they feel that they're not the center of attention, you will see some strange things, making up stories to try to get attention, often taking on a victim or princess role. Those two roles in particular are pretty consistent. Seeking caretaking. Or with histrionic, what you'll see is somebody who wants to be the center of attention, has sort of that impressionistic speech, very flowery, very enthusiastic, but nothing's really being said. The moment your attention wears away because they're so demanding for attention, that's when they might take the victim role or the princess role and even make up stories. Sometimes those stories are to bolster the victim role. Sometimes those stories are just to make them look more interesting or accomplished in their mind so that they can get respect and attention that way. Characteristically, people with this disorder are very, very interested in looks, but more importantly, they utilize their looks to get that attention, to get that respect that they're seeking. And so this type of a personality might be flirtatious with everybody. I say flirtatious, I'm not talking overtly sexy, but kind of inappropriately flattering. Sometimes they act in a kind of a girlish way to be cute and to engender attention. And this will even occur in their therapy relationships because they just don't want any criticism. They want that. One of the hallmark characteristics of histrionic personality disorder is sort of a overly dramatic presentation. We call this impressionistic speech.
Listen to this.
So it tends to be very flowery. It uses a lot of descriptive words like magical, wonderful, and it can go on for quite some time, and yet it really lacks any substance. So at the end, you're left wondering what was just said or what the answer is to the actual question. So there's a sense of shallowness to it. People who are observing them will feel like it's almost play acting, and they might not be able to put their finger on it, but part of it is because of the rapidness with which the person can switch emotions, and also the lack of substance. They don't really.
How eerie is that, Sarah?
Oh yeah, but all I can concentrate on is her fake writing on that notebook and the eyebrows 3/4 of the way up into the hairline.
But has she ever been? Has the entire
my
trial? I think that was the biggest roundhouse to her.
Yeah, it decimated her.
She decimated what she just laid out. And
Mhm.
everybody watching that's going, yeah, that's yes.
See, this is the first testimony on the first day. The rebuttal testimony is when her decisions and her opinions had been called into question by Amber's expert, right? By that point. So she took the gloves off and she really destroyed her from the foundation up. She finished the job off in the rebuttal. But yeah, this was brutal. The second one was even more.
Because she's so ridiculously articulate and she just so has her shit together, and just laying it out like that is everything
layman's
fits.
terms.
It's a brilliant diagnosis of we know people like that, but that's just the extreme of a Hollywood actress who was taking it to the nth degree during this.
She has to be the perfect witness, expert witness, attractive, smart. She knows how to speak to a juror perfectly. The right amount of eye contact, between the attorney and the jury. Even when Elaine was going off into the whole Moscow mules and dinner with Depp, she killed her on it. She handled it perfectly. Worth every penny.
Kylo Sierra, I bet she was writing a single word over and over again. Bitch, 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 bitch.
Yeah. Well, there was a GIF made. Somebody zoomed in, and she's not writing anything.
Yeah.
The pen is hovering over the paper.
I mean, I guess it's just look busy, try to, look down,
Yeah.
and the ultimate thing to look busy is pretend you're writing something or
This
look annoyed.
I feel sorry for anybody she went home to that night.
Crazy Robin says these illnesses are not just relegated to one sex. Oh, I agree, Crazy Robin. Men, I hate men.
In this
I.e.,
case, though.
sociopaths, all males, borderline histrionic personality disorders, usually women. It goes
Mhm.
both ways. Yes, yes, Crazy Robin. Absolutely. More sociopaths do tend to be men. I
Mhm.
hate men. Ugh. Amber is a product of her generation. There's
Yeah.
Texaho with a nigh millennial comment. Shannon Curry. Now I'm up, says Affy.
Me too.
Look at me. Sarah, by the way, if anyone wants to know Sarah's lesbian fantasy, every chick has the one. The hip answer for every broad back in was Angelina Jolie. Tell
No.
everyone who yours is, Sarah, which I
I've
found out
got 2
really
of them
quickly.
now. I'm reminded of my second one here after this clip. But Diane Lane
Yeah, that's a good
and
one.
Shannon Curry, I would just watch them bump all night.
Diane Scissorhand.
Oh. No, Diane Lane from Unfaithful.
Unfaithful.
After that, she's okay, but that movie, I was almost turned on.
Why her, do you think? Why do you
I
think?
don't
I
know.
mean,
She's
because you
got
hate women for the most part. So why is Diane Lane rise to the top
she's
for you?
natural, you know what I mean? I'm not talking
Yeah,
about her
she is.
hangers. She's just got a naturally beautiful face with her knee when that windy scene when her knees are scabbed up, her legs just lovely. Lovely all over. I
Do you,
would totally.
can you recall what happened with her and Josh Brolin
Well,
officially?
I think
He
I'm pretty sure
he
they were
cheated
married.
on her or he
I
hit
don't
her?
know. I
Did he
don't
not hit
know.
her?
You
Because
have to look
that's
it
like
up. I don't know.
that should be a way bigger. I heard that he actually physically
That
abused her.
was that was the rumor, I think, but I don't
Yeah,
know the details.
Crazy Robin agrees with you. Diane Lane
Oh,
oozes true sex. She does. Josh Hitter says Crazy Robin. Okay. I mean, like, does he have a Thanos pass or
I
so?
don't know. I don't know how
How
you
did he
fuck that
escape
up.
that? And that was not that long ago. That should be a much bigger story. He's
I
a
would
massive star now.
I don't ever say this about a woman. I would dive. I would do a deep dive, let's just say.
You would do a Luganus on Diane Lane.
Yes.
That's a good it's a very cerebral thinking broads answer because usually it's the same names over and over again. Angelina Jolie
Well,
was
everybody
everybody's
says
go-to.
Diane Lane for the most part
Do
too,
they?
so yeah, a lot of people
Where? I've
do.
never heard that. I haven't. She's
I'm
actually very underrated as Martha Kent in the new DC cinematic. One of the few bright spots in the whole thing. She's
the
actually
gray
very.
hair throws me and I'm like, okay, no. Not in that role.
The best scene is the most Batman-like scene is in Batman v Superman is when Batman has to go rescue Martha Kent from the KG Beast, and that's the most there's no armor. It's just Batman being Batman, jumping off the. You want the whole movie to be that,
Yeah.
and that's where they miss. That's where they miss. Everybody's like, that's everyone's favorite. I mean, that's the most sort of comic book accurate Batman scene in that whole, really in the whole DC cinematic universe. Texaho's really not sure who Diane Lane is. She's certainly not a millennial, Texaho.
Diane Lane. I go Diane Lane. Google image Diane Lane unfaithful.
You talk about who is that Olivia
Olivier Martinez.
Olivia, that's Halle Berry's ex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Diane,
I Google image her. There's a scene where she's sitting on the desk and her legs are crossed and her skirt's riding up. Yeah.
she was in The
I'm all
Outsiders. I
about
forgot
that.
about that.
Perfect legs.
She's like the female lead in The Outsiders with all the
Oh,
Matt Dillon. Yeah, Diane Lane's pretty standard for my generation. The female Matt Dillon.
no, no,
What are we at?
no.
2
Matt
hours and
Dillon
10
is
minutes.
milk toast.
Um. Okay, so now
I'm
we
getting
go
to
to the main
Playboy.
event.
Yes, please.
From studio. Okay, so now in our there was a Playboy interview that I thought was phenomenal back in 1996 when Depp was promoting Nick of Time, and we decided to this is something we were going to do, and because the Sirius XM town hall did not happen, we decided to reenact this. And I'm just going to play the Mr. Feeney intro before the actual Q&A. So Sarah's going to question me as Depp, and we might not get through the whole thing.
I haven't seen this, so if I flub it, I apologize.
There's not a lot you have to do.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Okay, good. There's the old work ethic. The Playboy interview of Johnny Depp by Kevin Cook, photographs by Kim Mizuno, Playboy, January 1996. A candid conversation with America's quirkiest actor about Kate Moss, River Phoenix, his offbeat films, and why he likes to stick strange things in his pants. Johnny Depp looks rotten, or so he says. The women on Sunset Boulevard would surely disagree. Many of them would marry him on the spot, but then Depp seldom bows to majority opinion as he lights yet another cigarette and drinks more coffee at a bookstore cafe on Sunset. His attention flits to a killer bee encased in lucite. It's one of many oddball souvenirs he receives from friends and admirers. Bugs are serious business to Depp, who collects exotic paraphernalia. His career, the other subject under discussion at the table, is taken more lightly. Acting, he explains, is nothing but... I'm going to abbreviate this. I'm just going to... I'll play the opening, and then I'll play the close, and then we'll go to the interview.
Okay.
Making faces for cash. Others take his work more seriously. Depp is one of the great young actors, says European director Emir Kusturica. Marlon Brando, Vincent Price, Faye Dunaway have said the same. Brando says that Depp should do Shakespeare, while Dunaway claims he is both a superb actor and a super kisser. The on-screen Depp is the world's greatest lover. Off-screen, he's a famed romancer of actresses and supermodels. He doesn't belong in show business. His Ed Wood co-star, Sarah Jessica Parker, once remarked, he belongs somewhere better. Lasse Hallström, who directed him in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, says he has real ambitions, but he's deeply afraid of being considered pretentious. You should know, Mr. Hallström. And one other thing, he looks great in a dress. At 32 years of age, Johnny Depp is entering the heart of what he calls the casual self-deprecation, my quote-unquote career. He is a goofy avoir, perhaps most impressive because he carved out a unique niche without making a box office hit so far. Thus far, the Kentucky-born Depp has made misfit movies. He was a boy monster in Edward Scissorhands, top-headed oddball in Benny and June, and the keeper of a retarded brother in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And the unsinkable cross-dressing director in Ed Wood. Nobody plays human frailty like Depp. Even though he made women swoon in Don Juan DeMarco, he played the fabled lover as a committed loon.
Lover.
His new films are John Badham's Nick of Time, in which he plays an accountant turned assassin, and Dead Man, an eerie Jim Jarmusch Western that is scheduled for release later this year. Even after opting for Dead Man over the slick epic Mobsters, a choice that cost him millions of dollars, he was criticized when he signed on to star in John Badham's Thriller. Industry watchers thought he was doing the Keanu thing, foregoing his traditional quirky roles for a commercial blockbuster. But for Depp, Nick of Time is no typical action flick. It's one of the first films since Hitchcock's Rope to tell its tale in real time, each screen minute equaling 60 seconds of his character's strife, and its task in the film is to gun down a female governor. Still, Thriller is as Thriller seems, and if the film is a hit, Depp will probably be charged with cynicism. Okay, so he's promoting Nick of Time for this interview. So he's trying to do he hasn't had a hit yet. He has not done anything. Sleepy Hollow will become his first hit. After this, he does Donnie Brasco. I think he films Donnie Brasco. He's about to film Donnie Brasco. I think he's literally a month away from going on the set.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me just jump ahead to the end of this. And so he chooses to do this Playboy interview to promote Nick of Time. I think they had high hopes for it in terms of box office. I really think they thought, well, let's hope that. And I don't think it made more than like 12 million.
Yeah, it was quickly forgotten.
I enjoyed
If I
it.
remember
It's my
correctly.
guilty pleasure. It is the first. It had the balls
Yeah.
to try to do the real time thing, which
Yeah, I
became
like it.
24. Again, it's probably people disagree. I truly like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's one crime he's not committed. Drug. Go to the end of this. Before bugs, as with his work, there is a twitchy humor to his collectibles. Is when he showed up less than an hour after the time. Okay, listen, we decided. So one thing that's very consistent, he's late for this as well. So this lateness thing is so ubiquitous with him. And he tries to downplay. He's always trying to claim that he was such an integrity about on set, protocol, and so he's setting the tone for punctuality, but he's even late for this. This is just an ongoing. To send contributing editor Kevin Cook to find out his report. Johnny Depp often runs late. To him, a watch would be a handcuff, so I was pleased when he showed up less than an hour after the time we had arranged. He shook my hand and apologized, saying he'd run his motorcycle into a pink Ford Escort. He'd led me into the quiet, dark Viper room, black walls, mirrors, black upholstered booths. The booths are marked with brass plaques engraved with the names of preferred guests and a warning to interlopers. Don't fuck with it. The place was empty in the early afternoon. We went downstairs to Depp's sanctum, where we sat on a couch near a closed-circuit TV that monitors the club above. We talked all day. I was impressed by his intelligence and earnestness. He was tongue-tied, struggling to shoehorn his convoluted thoughts into sentences. Watching him grope for words, I couldn't help rooting for him to unearth the mot justice he was trying for. A minor point, Depp's Viper Room co-owner, Chuck E. Weiss, who happens to be the eponym Ricky Lee Jones song, Chuck E's in Love, has joked that Johnny is such an autistic, sensitive person that he sits on the toilet and pees like a woman. But it's not so. So we did in about a minute of this interview in their club's men's room, and I can assure you he's a stand-up guy.
I'm jealous.
Oh, Playboy. But I gotta say, thank you, Rodney. Rodney
Yes,
writes,
thank
why
you.
are they still going to dedication and infatuation? Is that a Rod Stewart
Infatuation.
reference? Is he trying to make a pun there, or is that a Rod Stewart reference?
They're talking about us. He's talking about us, I think.
Okay. Best part of Nick of Time is the villain, Christopher Walken. Depp stinks. The kid stinks. The plot stinks.
No.
Rock. Yeah. Charles S. Dutton's in the movie as the shoe shine guy, Sarah.
Well.
Yeah, the shoe
I
shine.
mean, Rob.
Yeah, the shoe shine, Mr. Watson. That's right. No, he should have played Rob. He has a thing with Charles S. Dutton because Charles S. Dutton comes back again in Secret Window, which you saw. So Charles S. Dutton is in at least 2 different Depp movies. Depp's part is kind of sleepwalky. Rodney, he's not doing much here. He's just sort of playing some kind of passive version of himself as an accountant. It's not. He looks like he's he's kind of sleepwalking through it. Walken's okay. I'm trying to think. Roma Mafia is good in that. She plays Walken's right-hand broad. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kind of thriller of it. And I'm not a thriller guy typically, but
it's kind of just
probably just so biased. I'm probably
just a simple movie, in my opinion.
Simple. It's pretty simple. It's right at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's supposed to end in real time and shit. The girl playing his daughter, I don't know what happened to her. It wasn't Emma Roberts is in Blow. Emma Roberts plays his daughter in Blow. So are you ready, Sarah?
I guess so.
So you're going to play the interviewer, Kevin Cook.
Yeah, but do me a favor, take the chat off the screen so I can see more.
What do you mean take the chat off the screen? Oh, what Rodney's
Yeah. Not Rodney personally, but just the chat in
but
general.
just like in general, right. So I apologize to the chat. I'm just going to Sarah, if you see anything that needs me to stop, make me stop.
Or we'll get to it when we're done.
I can't look at it.
I know.
So I am going to tell me when you see the. I'm not sure we're going to get through the whole thing, but we'll try. Do you see it?
Yeah, but can you zoom in?
It's not big enough?
That'll be fine. All right, I'm ready.
How's that?
It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's good.
It starts with Playboy. Your Playboy, and that's see where it's written out?
Okay, yep.
And I'm Depp. Okay, so we've been meaning to do this we were gonna pre-tape this and we decided to throw it in tonight. It's hard to do this when to work the chat and stuff, but we will try.
We'll get to
And
the
Sarah, if you
chat.
see anything that needs me to stop, make me stop.
Okay. Ready?
Okay, so you are Playboy. Here we go.
Okay. You have only one urinal. Does the Viper Room men's room get crowded on the weekends?
Yeah, I used to get wet. There was a guy who would somehow sneak in there with a monkey wrench. He would loosen a nut on the urinal, so that when the next person flushed, water would just go everywhere. It was like Niagara Falls. You had people running from the bathroom, slipping, security guys sprinting over to throw down towels. I mean, this happened fairly regularly for like weeks. I can respect the toilet guy though. I liked his method, his consistency. He clearly took pride in toilet sabotage. But then it stopped, and I kind of miss him now.
Why do you call the place the Viper Room?
Well, oh, it's kind of after a group of musicians in the 30s who called themselves the Vipers. So they were like, reefer heads, and they helped start modern music.
What?
He says lights a cigarette.
Clink.
One great thing I know. I watch that. Does the ice sound like a lighter? Or can it?
There you go.
One great thing about having your own club, you get free matches.
Do you have any plans to quit smoking?
I like that. I always like that question. Nah, man, I'm no quitter. I think if you find something you're good at, you should just kind of stick with it. I've switched to lights though now, and it got to where I would just wheeze, going up a flight of stairs. So now I'm on diet cigarettes.
You've been accused of selling out, doing the Keanu thing, as one critic said, for making Nick of Time.
Oh, who cares? Oh God, I'm tired of who care. I'm interested in story and character, and doing things I haven't done like a zillion times. So when I read Nick of Time, I could see this guy, mowing the grass, watering his lawn, putting on the water wiggle in the backyard for his kid. I like the challenge of playing him. So he's nothing like me. I, I wanted to work for John Badham because he made Saturday Night Fever and invented some sort of interesting ways of shooting. Nick of Time is a thriller, and it gives me a chance to play it straight, normal, kind of suit and tie kind of guy.
So if you wanted big money, you could have also made Mobsters, a potential hit. You've turned down other mainstream films for movies such as Dead Man. How much did that one pay?
We'll tell you what, less than my expenses during the shoot, but it's a poetic film, and I did Dead Man so I could work with Jim Jarmusch. I trust Jim as a director and a friend and a genius. I should say, why does he keep bringing mobsters up? That's fucking Christian Slater. Greco's in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy's obsessed with bringing mobsters came out 4 years before this. So it doesn't even tie into what were they going to pay him? I think it was the Christian Slater part that he got offered
Yeah.
in that. And that's 90. It was like Patrick Dempsey's in the. Remember fucking Costas Mandalar? Oh my,
No.
Costas Mandalar over here.
No.
That was the group of people I had in that. And I don't know if I can't remember if that's even good. Maybe like retroactively, it's like a better movie than we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mobsters. I love how he's got the ready-made excuses too. Like when Jim Jarmusch actually stayed at his house, that he actually lived with him for a while.
Not shocked.
But you never saw Dead Man.
No.
By the way, we're reading this movie in a homage to Jim Jarmusch in black and white. This interview is in black and white.
Okay. All right. How do you see your career? Is it something you're sculpting as you go along, a body of work?
No, it's more primitive. I look at the story and the character, and I say, "Can I add any ingredients to make a nice, beautiful soup?" So, in some sense, There's a I love this. By the way, I should say I learned this next word from this interview, and I've been using it ever since. This is where you don't have to read books in order. You can read magazines and all. It doesn't have to always come from big books. In some sense, there's a monofilaments running through the guys I've played. They're outsiders. They're people society says just aren't normal. And I think you have to stand up for these people. But I didn't plan it. It's not like I had to play them, except for maybe Don Juan. I had to play that guy in the Edward Scissorhands. I loved Edward, but he was total honesty. Honesty is kind of what matters to me, and I have an absurd fascination with it. So whether it means being true to your girl or the work yourself.
You weren't on the list for Scissorhands until Tim Burton met you and was won over. Did he ever say what he detected in the former star of 21 Jump Street?
Oh well, Tim isn't exactly the type to verbalize it. So, but in snippets of conversations, he said it had something to do with my eyes. My eyes looked like I carried more years than I'd actually lived at that point. I also felt my looks were deceptive because I wasn't, what people thought. I should say that that wasn't even close to his first choice. So we've gone over the list, right? And it's so funny because is Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Michael Jackson, Gary Oldman, Robert Downey Jr., Jim Carrey. Forgetting someone else, but that Depp wasn't not. He was before, I think, Carrey and Oldman, but not before Cruise, Michael Jackson, and Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like this. Tim Burton was forced to take him because Tracy Jacobs went to art school with Tim Burton. That does not come up here. We found that out a few months ago.
What was that?
Oh, whatever that fucking catchphrase they sew onto your back.
Heartthrob?
Yeah, or confident actor.
Are you a method actor? Are you in character between takes?
No, no, I don't buy it when someone says, "Hey, you must call me Henry VIII." Even when I go to get a Dr. Pepper, I'm Henry VIII. So keep calling me that. I can't see that. If you're truly in character and it becomes unconscious, if you if you realize you're in character or you say you are, then you're fucked. I mean, it means that you're satisfied, and that's the worst.
Your eccentric films make people wonder if you're allergic to box office success. Oh God, aren't you tempted to make one big score, one Batman to bankroll your pet projects?
Boy, has that been blown to shit. I mean, this is where he was at, or so we thought at that time. So this is
Mm-hmm.
like '96, and you think about where we're at now with Pirates 6 and everything. You know what? That demon has visited me. Is my best pal. He says, look, make just two movies that are obvious commercial vehicles, blockbusters, and you'll have the freedom to do smaller, independent, and sort of more experimental films. So you can build an audience and bring them into that new world, and then you can sort of open some minds. I've thought about that, but I don't believe it. I would feel untrue to myself, untrue to the people who appreciate the choices I've made. For me, the career thing, it has to be a little pure, a little more organic.
Organic. And you're
That's
happy
how he
with your
says it.
choices?
Maybe I was trying to do movies for good reasons, to make something I believed in, but I never thought of them as small, eccentric films. To me, Ed Wood wasn't a small film, even if it ultimately only made $10. He's really. I mean, I don't know what kind of profit if it turned. I mean, you think of that cast is, him, Bill Murray, Sarah Jessica Parker, Patricia Arquette, Martin Landau. I mean, on and on and on. There's no way that could have turned a profit. I think
Mm-hmm.
I accounted for 50% of the box office. I saw it 7 times in the theater,
Yeah.
and I don't think it lasted more than 2 weeks where I was.
Mm-hmm. So you were shooting Divine Rapture, an unusual film co-starring Marlon Brando, when financing collapsed. Production stopped and everyone was sent home.
Yeah, this never got made. This is how he got fast friends with Marlon Brando, and then he made The Brave after this. Oh man, that sucked. One minute we're filming, the next minute there's no money. Um, it was like being in the middle of sex, and right at the peak, a guy walks in with a gun and says, "Stop it now!" So that's when you feel shitty because you remember it's the movie business. It's a business. and it's based on money.
Brando used to say he was so disgusted with the business that he didn't care anymore. He just wanted the money.
If he could do that, I applaud it. If I could do a bunch of movies and make zillions of dollars and not care, then why not? I just can't. I just can't do it now. It's probably ridiculous the way I talk about honesty and shit. When really, what am I really being true to? Some company, a bunch of guys who invest in a movie. I mean, they buy the product and then they distribute it. That's really not so pure, is it? It's like art and commerce. It's like oil and water. And here I am in some sort of artistic frenzy. Maybe I'm just very naive. 20 minutes from now, I'll probably say, fuck it, and sell out completely. You sure
Hmm.
did.
Do you remember the first time you saw yourself on screen?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I got sick. I went to see the dailies for Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like 21, and I didn't know what was going on. It was like looking into a huge mirror. It wasn't it wasn't how I looked that bothered me so much, because though I did look like a geek in that movie, it was just seeing myself pretending that he went home to fly. I heard the story that he went to Miramar to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I read something that he was sneaking into theaters in Miramar to watch it,
Yeah.
and that's like the last time he claimed to have watched himself.
And you heaved?
No, I didn't actually vomit, but I felt like vomiting.
These days, when Hollywood makes you sick, you and Kate Moss run off to London or Paris. What are you escaping from?
Fame, celebrity. It's really not such a big deal in Europe. People seem to understand that you got this weird job, so they're not running after you to trying to carve chunks out of you or anything. It's strange in the states. Most fans are here are great, but there's a handful who have seen the movies and they feel they know you, so they think it's kind of all right to touch you and ask personal questions.
Like we're doing now?
Oh, but I'm selective about my interviews. I mean, I may quit doing them too because I just always feel sort of violated afterward and stupid. I mean, for talking about myself for hours and hours.
You want the job, but not the flashbulbs.
Look, look. I used to work construction. I've pumped gas. I've sold T-shirts in my adult life. And so do you, Sarah. Stirkshire, right?
Okay. That was that
The
T-shirt I
Pelican
sold 6
Brief.
months ago.
You have a wino forever. How many T-shirts in that set?
Oh God, 20?
Is there 20 you design?
15 to 20?
Like you design. And there's nothing worse than some rich actor saying, "Oh my life is so hard." I'm lucky to have this job and the celebrity fame or whatever stuff that is. It's a hazard of the job. Maybe I should just sort of do what Brando did like 30 years ago, buy an island,
Hmm.
maybe take my girl, some friends, and just go there and sleep. You could read and swim and think clear thoughts. Because you really can't do that here. You can't be normal. So not with people hitting you up at any given moment with bizarre requests. You just can't hang out and have a cup of coffee and just pick your nose or reaching for his crotch.
Oh,
Adjust your package. You know what I mean?
need help? No. Okay, you should be a baseball player.
Yeah, right, right, right. I could just spit and grab my crotch, like that lady who sang the national anthem. What's her name again?
Roseanne.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was ballsy of her. Do you remember that, Sarah? It was
Of
a
course.
San Diego Padres game, and she spit. She sang the national anthem and spit, and it was this huge deal. I can't even remember what
Hmm.
year. I think it was like late '80s or
No, it was the
Tony Gwynn
90s.
years.
Mid 90s,
Was it?
probably.
Was it? Was it? Yeah, it was mid '90s.
Hmm.
I'm kind of losing my timeline with her.
So there's an island on your Christmas list?
Well, if there's anything I really want, it's privacy. It's the island idea. I mean, you do get to where your money can actually help your family, and that's a great thing. You can buy that wristwatch you want too. Mostly, you have to pay for simplicity. You use your money to buy privacy because during most of your life, you aren't allowed to be normal. You're on display. You're always being looked at, which puts you at a disadvantage for the people who looking at you that it's you. Oh, they say it's you, it's you, it's you. But you don't they don't know you and I don't know them. That's bad for an actor because the most important thing you can really do as an actor is observe people. And now you can't because you're the one being observed.
Some of it must be enjoyable.
Well, you know what? It's very nice when people come up to you and say, "Hey, I really like Don Juan DeMarco. Please sign my napkin." What gets to me though is being watched, whispered about. Would you ever walk up to someone on the street and say, hey, can I kiss you?" No, you'd get smacked. Hey, can I look inside your wallet? What size is your shoe? Can I have your fucking hat? I mean, some requests are so surreal, so fucking surreal. On Dead Man, I was hanging out with Jim Jarmusch and the crew, was smoking cigarettes, and there's just some guy like lurking, checking me out. He looked normal enough, but his eyes were just like a little too wide open. So I knew he'd come up to me, which he did. And he said, "Hey, Johnny, I want to have a drink with me." And I said, "Oh, no, thanks, I'm good. I'm okay." He said, "Listen, listen, listen. You could really help me out. My wife and I are separating, but I want to get back with her. She's like a really big fan of yours." He wanted me to go home with him and mediate his divorce, and I wouldn't. So he said he'd call her on the phone, and we could talk it out. Now, that stuff just goes too far. You wanna say, "Can we just kiss? Could you just shove your fucking tongue down my gullet and be done with it?"
Well, some female fans love you enough to send you highly personal mementos.
Oh, nude pictures in the mail. Yeah, yeah, tons of them. I mean, some are beautiful, nicely lit, black and white, kinda mysterious. Some are just out and out primitive. How about Tonto
Oh,
Man?
I'm gonna throw up. The next line.
Then there are the pubes. I've
Ugh.
gotten a lot of pubic hairs in the mail. I don't save them though. I guess you could just call it ritualistic about it. Burn the pubes in a fire. But I'm not sure I want to touch them, so I just throw them away.
I'm gonna vomit. Okay. How does it feel to be so handsome that women yank out their pubes for you?
Oh
Ugh.
God, I have no control over that. I mean, it's demeaning when people talk about my looks. I think I usually look like shit, and I think most people would probably agree.
You once said you feel more comfortable dining in a movie than in a restaurant.
Calmer anyway. I mean, in a real restaurant, you may notice people talking under their breath, staring. It builds up in your head, and you just want to run.
Do you and Kate have techniques for avoiding bad scenes?
If we run into and now that this is the first time I saw this word too, if we run into a gaggle of paparazzi, I'll avoid eye contact. I'll also put on my sunglasses because that way we don't get paid as much for the picture. Oh, is that true, Sarah? If they have you don't get if they have sunglasses on, the
I don't know.
paparazzi gets less money from.
Maybe.
I
Um,
God, that's so. I don't. How does he know that?
he would know more than me.
I wonder how he would know that there's less money in it.
Mm. Are you and Kate gonna get married?
I love Kate more than anything. Certainly enough to marry her, but as far as putting on names on paper, making weird public vows that signify ownership, it's just not in the cards.
Are you monogamous?
Well, you know what? I'm very true. I wouldn't hurt her, and I expect she wouldn't hurt me either. Fidelity is very important as long as it's pure. I mean, the moment it goes against your insides, if you want to be somewhere else, if she wants to, that word, here we go.
Uh-oh.
No,
You
no,
trigger
can't
people with
say.
that word.
If she wants to dabble, then you need to make a change. And I'm not sure any human being is made to be with one person forever and ever. Amen. So my own parents didn't do it. My dad left when I was 15, so maybe in some of the my public relationships, maybe I was just trying to right the wrongs of my parents by creating some kind of classic fairy tale love, trying to solve the fear of abandonment we all have. Anyway, it didn't work. So that's not to say that I didn't love those people. I've been with some great girls, and I certainly thought I loved them. Although now I have my doubts. It felt something intense, but was it love? I don't know. So now I can't say can I love someone forever, or if anybody can.
Now, according to a recent story, you and Kate had set a wedding date. She wanted engraved invitations, but you wanted to send out a riddle so your friends would, kind of have to guess where to show up.
See, he's the perfect guy for the Riddler. I forgot about this. That's the Edward Nigma. No, 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 it's fiction. It's fiction. I guarantee you that if I woke up one day with wild hair up my ass to get hitched, there wouldn't be any invitations. We just run out and do it.
What do you think when you see Kate's picture on a billboard?
I think she's beautiful. Calvin Klein's lucky to have her. If we're apart and I see her picture, I'll miss her. Not because of a billboard, but because she's just always on my mind anyway.
What's something she does better than you?
Oh, so I remember hating this answer. Modeling, modeling. She's great at games. She beats the shit out of me at Boy, is that a fucking shit? That's all he come up with is modeling and gin rummy. There's your soulmate. Modeling and gin rummy.
The little things.
Kate's a great girl. She's very smart. We're a good team because she's a light sleeper. You could hit me with a baseball bat and I wouldn't wake up, but she'll wake up. Was that a pin dropping? So I get some protection.
Does all the gossip bother you?
It's just part of the game. You know that the tabloids, from the obvious ones to the subtler ones, such as Time and Newsweek, will print anything to sell those fuckers. But you hear it, and it can be stressful. Suppose you and I are at a bar, and you say hello to a girl. That's innocent enough. For me, the same thing becomes like, oh, they're dangling from the St. James Hotel with hairbrushes sticking out of their asses. They call was that Gary Delabate quote to Elliot
Oh,
Offman right
gross.
there?
Stick a hairbrush up your ass.
Stick a hairbrush up your
So
ass.
weird.
That can
Uh,
cause a strain.
You mean that it wasn't the St. James? Where'd you go? There you go.
Sorry, that never happened. I'm sorry, that never happened. Here's another one I got for you. Kate and I had a huge fight at a hotel in New York, a real screaming match in the lobby. So it was in the papers, and I thought it was pretty magical for us because we were in France at the time that happened.
Hmm. What happened on September 13th, 1994, when you smashed up a room at New York's Mark Hotel?
Oh man, it's another instance of not being allowed to be normal. I was just having a bad day. I think we all have those, but if someone else does what I did in that situation, it's not usually in the news. A security guy came to my door and said, basically, I'm sorry, I broke some things, I'll repay you, but that's not good enough. I go to jail, and the next day, this gets equal billing with the invasion of Haiti. Me beating up a fucking hotel room. Imagine if I'd hit somebody.
That clearly bothered you.
That's all a day's work, I guess.
Don't you invite it, though, by dating famous people? How come celebs fall in love with other celebs?
Probably because you have mutual friends. You move in the same circles. It's like working in a factory. You strike up a scarf factory. You strike up friendships with other employees. Also, you'll go to a restaurant or a bar that caters to people who you know and what it's like to be exposed. So maybe they're not after you so much. Sarah, the hotel room thing. The more I think about it, would you ever stay in a hotel and think, yes, I can destroy this
I
whole
know.
place that's not mine, and then I'm just gonna pay for it. Like, would you ever have the weird hubris to just think, yes, it is okay to just destroy this thing that's not mine,
I
and I'm
know.
just
I
gonna pay for it. It's such a bizarre mentality he has in that, and then just kind of like, well, he's so you got to remember too, like his idols are all hotel smashing kind of guy. So it's like a very Thompson thing to do. And it's
Mhm.
very fucking, the rock stars of that age known for destroying hotel. He loves it. He loves it.
Yeah. So I can't be normal. I can't just break things and say, "Hey, I'll pay you later."
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
just
couldn't do that. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Don't you invite it? Oh, we already did that. Okay, where are we at? Mutual
with the Viper Room.
friends. Okay. With the Viper Room, hold on. With the Viper Room, you bought your own hideout. Jesus.
Oh yeah, no, it's easier here. I'll have a couple of beers or a glass of wine. I'll get up, play my guitar with some friends, Every Thursday, it's martini night. It's a good time. So one of the best nights for me was when Johnny Cash played there.
Oh God, he must
He's
have
another
matched.
one. I just like Jeff Beck. It's that cool name. It's that cool factor name with the one syllable, and
Mhm.
everybody of that generation has to say that Johnny Cash became that like cool thing to attach yourself to.
Yeah, he must have matched the black decor.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he was brilliant, and he blended in. It was it was just like a head floating up there. It's just beautiful.
And the tabs have linked you to other celebrities, including Madonna.
Oh my God, I read that somehow I was in bed with her, which is a ton of shit. I have met her, and it went like this. Oh, how do you do? I said, oh, hello, how are you? Now, when anyone asks about my affair with Madonna, I say, no, no, wrong. It was the Pope. He swept me off my feet.
For the record, how did you get under the robes of John Paul II?
Well, he's shy. I didn't want to push too hard, but we shared a bottle of wine, and I can tell you, the man is a great kisser. Watch him when he gets off that plane. He'll really give you that runway a good one.
Ugh. You're known for dodging attention by using fake names when you check into
Yeah,
hotels,
I know.
but your pseudonyms make good copy. Mr. Donkey Penis?
Oh, it's just that that if you register as Mr. Poopy, for instance, you get a funny wake up call. I used to use the name Mr. Stench. It was funny to be in a posh hotel and just hear a very proper concierge call out, "Mr. Stench, please." I never really stayed under the name Donkey Penis. That was an example I mentioned to a reporter once. But I've been Royd and Emeroyd.
Oh God. You've said
Remember
journal.
Oprah Noodle
Hmm.
mantra, Sarah?
Yep.
That's where that came from.
You've said journalistic fictions bother you. What's been the worst?
When something heavy happens and 9 out of 10 magazines turn it into fucking vulture fest, they turn you into something sick.
You're talking about River Phoenix?
Yeah, when River passed away, it happened to be at my club. Now that's very tragic. It's very sad. They made it out to be a fiasco of lies to sell fucking magazines. They said he was doing drugs in my club. That I allow people to do drugs in my club. What a fucking ridiculous thought. Like, hey, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this nightclub so everyone can come here and do. That's the end.
Well, yeah.
I think that's a good idea, don't you? Well, never get found out because it's not like this place is high profile or anything, right? That lie was ridiculous and disrespectful to River. But aside from River and his family, trying to deal with their loss, what what about people who work in the club? They have moms and dads in like fucking Oklahoma reading about this place where their daughter tends bar, thinking, Jesus Christ, she's out there in Hollywood swimming around with these fucking awful creatures.
Meaning you?
Well, it was awful for my nieces and nephews to read that stuff, to have every two-bit pseudo-journalist speculating viciously. Vicious, and it hurt.
How did you cope?
I I closed the club for a few nights to get out of the way so Rivers fans could bring messages, bring flowers, and I got angry. I made a statement to the press like, "Fuck you! I will not be disrespectful to Rivers' memory, and I will not participate in your fucking circus."
Is it haunting to walk past the spot where River died?
At first it was. I couldn't go to the club without thinking of it. Later, I came to terms with the fact that it had nothing to do with the club. That he was just here is a very short time, and it had nothing to do with anything really, except that he what he ingested was bad, and now there's really nothing we can do.
Did you shed tears that night?
That's a weird question.
You don't have to answer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I shed tears when I heard someone had died. It wasn't until 4 or 5 in the morning that they told me it was River. S- It's so sad to see like a young life end, and now I'm starting to feel like I'm in a fucking Barbara Walters special. Are you gonna make me cry now,
No, we'll even change the subject. Let's talk about your boyhood. Okay.
Sarah?
What's your
Um. So let's just in terms of the Viper Room, right? So as we know it now, kind of cobbling together bits and pieces as it goes, and this is like the worst version of it. John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, a
Mm-hmm.
guitarist, made a speedball for River Phoenix, who OD'd on the speedball. It was assumed that this was a regular practice at the Viper Room. He wanted to play. I get Depp's band had gone on too long, so he couldn't handle the waiting. So he, ingested the speedball in the audience. Then went out to the sidewalk to die when he passed away, or when after Joaquin Phoenix called the ambulance. It's rumored that Depp and Frusciante had a emergency meeting
Mm-hmm.
at his newly purchased house to try to figure out how to deal with this and lay out some kind of alibi or press thing, because Depp was going to be like implicated by you know, advocate knowing full well what was being passed around in the club. I don't know what I believe.
I don't either. And we'll never know because he's never going to talk about it.
Other people who have an axe to grind with Depp will say that he knew every bit of this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what happened. But it's a crazy legend that to this day there's still ever changing stories.
Mm-hmm. All right. No, we'll change the subject. Let's talk about your boyhood. What's your earliest memory?
I guess just catching lightning bugs. Beautiful, fascinating bugs. There was like a little girl who lived next door who had a brace on her leg, and we used to play on the swing set. And the night the astronauts had landed on the moon, the father came out and looked up and said, "In all seriousness, when a man sets foot on the face of the moon will turn to blood." And I was like shocked. I remember thinking, "Geez, I'm 6. That's a little too deep for me." So I stayed up watching the moon, and it was kind of like a big relief when it didn't change.
Didn't you have an uncle who was a Bible thumping preacher?
Yeah, yeah, yes. That gave me an odd sense of religion. He was theatrical in the pulpit. He would start crying and praising the Lord, and pretty soon the adults were screaming, "Hallelujah!" getting their fucking hands and knees, crawling up to kiss his shoes. And I just didn't buy it. I'm not saying my uncle was full of shit, because he was a good guy. I just didn't like the duality of it. Seeing him behave normally at home and then a whole different way on the pulpit, it was just way too convenient. Why did the Lord strike you in the only church? Why didn't he hit you in the bathroom or when you were barbecuing hot dogs then?
As a boy, did you think you were headed for big things? Did you ever want to be a movie star?
At 4 or 5, I fancied myself a Matt Helm. I don't know who that is.
No,
Do you know who
neither.
Matt Helm is?
No.
I truly don't know who that is. Um, the spy Dean Martin. Oh, okay, that's a character. He was the spy Dean Martin played. I also wanted to be Flint, James Coburn. Those guys got all the women.
Were you geeky as a kid?
Well, I'm geeky now. I sure don't look around and say, "Oh, isn't this great?" I've never felt that, and I probably never will.
Did you like your name? It's a great movie name, but a kid might rather be Johnny Jones. Okay.
Eh, that's your new last name. It spawned all these fucking nicknames. I was a Johnny Depp, Deputy Dog, and Dippity Doo, and I didn't mind it, and I didn't really think about it until my first movie, and then they asked me how I wanted it to be billed. John Depp. It sounded a little pumped up, but I was always Johnny.
You were a kid when the family moved from Kentucky to Miramar, Florida.
Oh, we moved like gypsies. From the time I was 5 until my teens, we lived in 30 or 40 different houses. That was probably had a lot. 30 or 40 different
Yes.
houses.
Insane.
That probably has a lot to do with my transient life now, but it's how I was raised, so I thought there was nothing abnormal about it. Wherever the family is, that's home. We live in apartments, on a farm, in a motel. Then we rented a house, and one night we moved from there to the house next door. I remember carrying my clothes across the yard and thinking, "This is so weird," but it was an easy move.
Were you a bully? You ever beat up anyone?
You know what? The guys I hung out with in my early teens were bullies, kind of. So I did a little of that. Picking on someone though, pushing people around, I didn't like it. It got me so angry that I'd kind of be on the poor guy's side after a while.
Meanwhile, you hated school.
Well, I wasn't learning. I felt the teachers were there to just kill 8 hours and get paid. I just had more fun playing guitar. And I was playing in a band in nightclubs at an early age, and that was my education.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was about 13 playing guitar. He wasn't playing at 13 at a club. That's
You
bullshit.
never know.
I've seen that altered that story. That's not. He loves lowering the age. Like he's so precocious.
Mm.
Like he's the Tiger Woods. He was not playing at a club at 13. There's no way I could shoot that down. I'm not going to do it now. And this girl who was a little older than me had been hanging around listening to us. She was a virgin too. And that night we just partook. It was in the bass player's van. It's a blue Ford. So I knew what to do. I'd studied the subject for many years. I remember us laughing and having a good time together. It's kind of like a sweet, sweet memory. She became my girl for a while. Then we lost touch. I haven't seen her in a long time, but is that reverse statute? Is that statutory rape, Sarah?
If he was 13,
Is he
no.
is he implying she was 18 or 17 or something?
Where do you see that?
She a little older could mean
Could be
17,
15.
could mean 18. Well, I think he would. I bet you he would specify the age if it wasn't illegal.
Mm. So you were 15 when your parents split up. Were you crushed?
No, there wasn't time. It was just too traumatic for my mom.
Betty Sue. Her name is the heart tattoo on your left arm.
Oh, she got very ill. Her life, she's known her for 20 years, was now over. Her partner, her husband, her best friend, her lover had just left her, and I'd felt crushed that he had left. But when you're faced with something like that, it's amazing how much abuse the human mind can and heart can take. You just can't get past what you need to get past. So sure, on some level, I'm thinking, wait a minute, what happened to my family here? What about the stability? What about the safetyness at home? But my feelings are secondary to thinking about my mom. And all the focus was on her getting through that time, which she finally did. And now everyone's pretty much okay. I'm even on good terms with my dad. Now, Sarah, you heard the trial, right? It's a much different story
Mm-hmm.
during the trial. What's the story during the trial?
She was a drug addict and an abusive mother.
And the father left for a good reason, as
Mm-hmm.
he told it,
Mm-hmm.
and explained why. And he just and he fought through stuff. And that's a completely. I wonder if he's just trying to, if it just looks better to defend the mom in print. Because I'm telling
Yeah,
you, the
probably.
trial narrative is way
Why would he want
different.
to dive deep into this
I
in a
don't know.
Playboy
Well, he's
interview?
asking, why not?
Yeah, at the time, though, you were subject to various fears.
Oh yeah, yeah. My sister Christy had a baby when I was 17. So I had just heard about crib death. So this horrible thing was that it was just like understood now for some unknown reason, the baby would just stop breathing. So I would just sneak into where the baby was sleeping and put my hand in the crib and hold her little finger, and I'd sleep on the floor like that. It was kind of stupid, but I'm sure I thought the warmth of my hand might help. And then maybe if she felt my pulse, it would remind her to breathe.
You were sensitive.
Oh, total paranoid.
You dropped out of high school about that time. Did the other Depps try to talk you out of it?
No, no, they were supportive. It was it was other people, like family friends who thought I was a shithead. They figured I was proving them right by dropping out of school to play guitar in nightclubs. And I thought maybe they were right. My main feeling when I left school was one of insecurity. It was like, oh, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm nobody. I'm a fuck up. Just like these outside voices say. I actually seriously considered joining the Marines because I didn't want to be a fuck up. I thought, if I joined the Marines, I'd learn to deal with like authority on some level, so maybe I could be a normal guy.
Then why aren't you crew cut Colonel Depp today?
Well, my band had some semblance of success.
You were 17. Your band, The Kids, rubbed shoulders with major acts when they toured Florida. There's a famous tale about you and Iggy Pop.
We opened for the Ramones, the Pretenders, the Talking Heads. One night we opened for Iggy Pop, and it went great. So after the show, I was pretty drunk, and in the Iggy tradition, I wanted a little more than that. So I started screaming at him, just like sophomoric insults. Iggy Poop, who the fuck are you, Iggy Slup? He got in my face and said, "You little turd." And I walked away. So, of course, I was delighted because, I mean, I looked over at the bass player and he said, "Yeah, that was Iggy, man. He's a god. You got a reaction out of him."
So a few years later, he played a supporting role in Crybaby. Did he remember you?
Oh, no, no, no. He didn't remember me. He said that he didn't remember anything from those years.
Pretty soon after that, you went out west with the band.
Well, we got bored in South Florida. We had to move to Los Angeles to make it big. I remember the drive out there. It was driving 18 hours a stretch, and you kind of hit this hallucinatory state of sleep deprivation that sends you kind of into an orbit. You blink and look up, and you're driving into the devil's mouth. It was a good time. You have high hopes because you're not thinking, of yourself as a self, but as a band member with great camaraderie. So then, before you know it, you're on your own. As I understand it, before you know it, you're on your own. He actually dumped the band
Mm-hmm.
when he got Platoon, and so it broke them up, and they all got really pissed at him.
Mm.
And he joined this Rock City Angels, and then walked it, and they were supposed to be Guns N' Roses, and David Geffen, because they broke up, David Geffen put all his shit towards Guns N' Roses.
Mm.
And the lead singer that tells the story, I think he moved back to Tennessee.
But the band shattered on contact with the big time.
Yeah, he's not going to talk about it yet. Yeah, we broke up, and I couldn't lean on the drummer or the bass player anymore. It was just all me. I had to deliver.
So what was your first step?
This isn't true. I sold pens.
On the street?
Oh no, it was marketing. I was working on the phone from a big stuffy building in Hollywood near Hollywood and Vine. The best thing about that job was using the phone because I'd call my family in Florida on the pretext of selling them pens. So like the pen boss, he'd circle the room, and when he went by, I'd say, "How many pens would you like? 288, two gross." After he passed, I'd whisper, "Oh, mom, are you there?" The free phone calls were fine. The sales pitch was a batch of lies, telling people they could win a trip to Greece or beautiful grandfather clock or something. So I learned my selling script, and it was really my first acting gig. And then I ad libbed. I actually sold some pens, but I felt so bad lying, and I began telling people, don't buy these fucking pens. A grandfather clock. It's made of a cork board now. And hang up.
Ending your telemarketing career. Fortunately, you had a friend, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we became friends through music. When I was in the band, he had already done Valley Girl, Rumblefish, and Cotton Club. So I knew him as an actor, but I wasn't planning to be one. We just kind of hung out.
At the parking garage of a local mall?
Oh yeah, that's the story. We were messing around one night at the Beverly Center having a giggle. We may have been drinking. We were goofing around, and the story is that we just wound hanging by our fingers 5 stories up on the parking structure. I don't remember, but I'm thinking we did that.
It seems that there's something particularly postmodern about daredevil acts at a mall.
Oh my god, it was the ultimate death-defying white trash act.
Now, Cage arranged to get you a tryout for Elm Street, and you were well on your way.
Oh, well, but even after the first movie, I never thought there'd be any others coming down the pike. So I didn't necessarily want to be there. I just wanted to play my guitar. But with the band broken up, I really needed rent money and I needed cigarettes. Sarah, let's stop right here.
Okay.
We're at 3 hours and 4 minutes. I need to be a 3-pack a day smoker because I'm cutting my throat's going on me too.
All right.
Keep his thing up. It really starts to rip your fucking throat out. Anyway, we'll stop here. I want everyone to be on the lookout for the Tracy Jacobs next episode that's going to be released, I don't know, Sunday into Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a 21 Jump Street watch along. That's on Patreon. The next one, hopefully next week, is the town hall with Steven Van Zandt.
No, we'll do it when it's released. We don't have any control over
I'm
that.
not
But
sure when it's coming out. Yeah, I'm not sure.
in the
when.
meantime, it's going to be the pilot episode of Jump Street.
Let's go. Gina Bobina, welcome. There's Lauren Marie we see here. Let me just finish this up with the chat. If I saw Madonna in real life, I would run either way. You know, Afi, I don't know if you caught us going through the Jennifer Grey book. Madonna and Jennifer Grey had the same agent pre Tracy Jacobs, right, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
No, wait. How did it go? She dropped Tracy and then went to Madonna's agent.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then there was a bumper sticker that came out that said, "Hunk, if you haven't been engaged to Johnny Depp." So there's some weird connection with him and Madonna and Sean Penn. Also, do you remember Depp owned a restaurant in New York, in Chelsea, I think, Midtown Chelsea, with Penn and fucking John Malkovich, called Man Ray?
I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember that was a story for a little bit? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happened to it. It was this really hip thing for a while. I was living in New York when it opened, and I walked in there and I was wearing like cargo shorts and
Of course you were.
high tops, and I don't know if the place was. I couldn't tell if it was a club or I just kind of looked around, and it was like a Tuesday night, and it was like really quiet. I couldn't get a beat on what the fuck it was.
They kicked your ass out of there, didn't they?
I got looks like, what the hell are you doing here? They could just spot it. They could just spot a fucking
Of course.
commoner. It was called Man Ray.
You should have done push-ups.
I know.
You could have got your check
push up for the
comped.
bouncer right in the thing.
Yeah.
The wrong Phoenix brother died that night, says Texa. Oh my God, Texa, Joaquin's had a great career. I don't know if River could equal what Joaquin's done.
I think River was people like to
He's slightly
elevate
overrated.
people to sainthood when they pass.
Yes.
River Phoenix was on the downswing in terms of career.
What do you really think River could have the career Joaquin's had at this point? Between Joker and all, I mean, he has had a really good career. By the way, he was implicated in that fucking you talk about nepotism and whatchamacallit, Casey Affleck had a huge Me Too, right? They were accused of sexual assault on a set together, and like group sexual assault. And apparently there was a protest during the Oscars when he won for Molester by the Sea. Do you know that story?
No.
You don't know that story, Sarah?
No.
Roll your eyes and huff one more
I
time.
didn't. Not once.
I've never seen the Patriot. We should do it live. Do you mean the Jump Street watch along ride? Can we do it live, Sarah, on
I don't know.
Patreon? Is
But
that
the
possible?
Patreon link is it's the first thing you see when you watch in our intros. The Patreon link is the very first thing, right after the t-shirt link.
Depp would look hot in a Marine dress uniform. Well, what'd you think of him in Platoon, Texo? Right?
That's close enough.
Private learner, it's close enough. He goes on to do
A
Platoon.
little young for me in that look.
One of the great episodes people don't realize exists is the Platoon documentary Charlie Sheen did, which is some of the great stories about that I'd never heard. Really, apparently at one point Depp climbs on a scaffold and goes to piss on Oliver Stone for abusing him during the set. And the cast members have to pull him down. Like, Stone didn't turn around. So he literally pulled his pants down to piss on him. Just a drunken, they had the Platoon band with Depp on guitar, Corey Glover from In Living Color, Danny Glover's nephew, the lead singer of Living Color, was the singer who's in Platoon, and Kevin Dillon was the drummer.
That's one thing we're also going to be watching on Patreon too.
And on the downtime during the filming of Platoon, their band played. Lauren Marie says 13. That's pretty sad for him if that's true. Still trick-or-treating and playing dolls at that age. It's also weird, Lauren. I mean, do you know anyone who dropped out of high school? I don't. And I don't know if I grew up in a town that was like
a few people.
In your actual family? Was
my family.
Was there controversy over it?
No. because they weren't expected to do much anyway from
Yeah, I don't know.
childhood.
I guess I mean, his generation was a little. I think it was slightly more acceptable back then, and you could kind of make it. But it was still weird. In my town, if someone dropped out of high school, it was crazy. Or here, in line with that is a tattoo. It's the same kind of thing. Like, oh, you have a tattoo. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But dropping out of high school was insane. I don't know. I don't know if I can even think of a kid who dropped out. If they did, they went to like trade school, or they just kind of. I mean, you moved, you didn't know about it, or
Yeah, I have a branch of my family tree that you're pretty much expected to be a burnout from birth because you just have all the
most
odds are against you.
most schools are obsessed with the graduation rate, so they'll do anything to crowbar you through.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play me like that. I'm a huge River Phoenix fangirl. I'm not a huge River Phoenix fan, but River was good looking and his brother is super cringe and ugly. Yeah, I get that, Texo. I mean, you don't have to like him, but he's like he's done the most he could possibly do in terms of scripts. I'm shocked at how big Joaquin Phoenix's career has turned out. We're not. I totally get how hateable he can be, and certainly not. I'm not saying I'm even a huge fan. I'm saying it's amazing what he's done. That you couldn't possibly have a bigger career being like bastard stepchild to River Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Rodney, I've also put the link to the Patreon in the YouTube community tab. Other than coming over and typing it into your browser for you, that's the best I can do.
Rodney says you could do a watch along on YouTube as long as you reroute the audio and don't show the video. The platform like Amazon offer watch parties up to 100, but it's about the banter and the chat. I think we could fix. I think if it's done on Vimeo,
You can work on that.
it can be done,
Mm-hmm.
or so we think. Rodney says all those Stand By Me kids are overrated. The fat guy and is the best of all because he's married and reproduced with Mystique. He's talking about Jerry O'Connell, who will do anything. Jerry O'Connell will do anything. I mean, he has a show. He has 3 sitcoms or show every week come out and
Hey, can you
cancel.
pause for a second? Rodney, it has been in the description quite a few times of most of our episodes. So talk to Arm about it if you don't see it, but I have
The
seen it in
best you
there.
can, best that you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. We can put it in the description, Rodney. I don't know how she worded it. I think it's pretty thorough. Um, so yeah, okay. So let's see if Depp was brewing Kentucky whiskey at 13. I want to hear that moonshine story, Affy. I agree. He does claim his uncle was a moonshine runner, right? That was part of the fucking Public Enemies history when he based John Dillinger on his moonshine running uncle. And nobody loves moonshine more than Gina Bobina. I'm making my own. What's going on in here? Okay. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Be on the lookout for our Patreon. G Canada, welcome, sir. I see you there. I'm sorry if I didn't see. I was reading from the transcript, so I wasn't looking at the chat while I was going. I'm trying to catch up now. It's nice to see anyone that's. It's nice not to see those comments anymore. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight in this weird thrown together show because it was supposed to be something else, but we will revisit this again next week. I'm not sure what we're going to go to. Thank you, Kylo Sierra Alpha. Awesome to see you in the chat. I'm trying to think. So the Tracy Jacobs transcript, which is a phenomenal look into the real career of Depp and a lot of fourth wall stuff. That's coming out Sunday into Monday. The 21 Jump Street pilot watch along is coming soon on Patreon. I will put more Stern shit up on Patreon. I want to thank you all. I love you all. This is Arm for Sara saying, no time is a good time. The next show, Kylo, is going to be coming out. I think it's going to release like Monday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, but into Monday morning. We
Probably
pre-taped
Sunday
it. We
night.
pre-taped it.
Mm-hmm.
because it was like a transcript that it was just easier to do it that. It's like the old format we started doing it on. So
Yep.
that should be good. Anyway, thank you, Lauren Marie. Thank you, Kyla. Thank you, Texaho. This is Arm for Sara saying, no time is a good time for goodbye.
Good night, everybody.